Welcome to the BitGeek podcast. I'm your host, Ron Avis, and sitting with me at the desk to my left is my co-host, the Prince of Pixels,
Nick Wright.
Also joining us is the chairman of the Chinese knockoff,
Martin Reimer.
And today we're going to be talking about the golden age of the internet. All right, guys, this is going to be a very experimental episode. I wanted to talk about, and I got the idea from, a couple episodes ago, I think it was, it was just last episode, the Dreamcast episode. We were talking about MIRC.
Right.
I was like, wouldn't it be fun to kind of, because, we were having all of these memories flooding back to us. It's like, let's have an episode where we just talk about things about the internet that, was popular in the 90s, the late 90s, mid 90s.
The infancy of the internet.
The Wild West of the internet.
Right.
Yeah, when
the free internet.
The free internet. Yeah, exactly. Today, nowadays, like internet, it feels so much like a utility or a television. Everything's just sort of compartmentalized, and there's only a handful of things that people use. But back in the, especially the late 80s, early 2000s, not 80s, late 90s, early 2000s, just people were trying everything, and it seemed like every other week there was like the new thing to do. It supplanted the last thing, and then that was it. And I want to just have a conversation about those days. We're gonna have all kinds of topics that we're gonna touch upon, and I've kind of split up into categories, and I'm just gonna throw out some things. And we'll just have conversations about them. It's a little bit structured, but just because I don't throw it out there, if you think of something, just jump right in, throw it out there. If you remember something, that's why I love doing this show, because so often I'll be in my thoughts when I'm researching for the show, but then I'll start talking to you guys, and you'll bring up something that I totally forgot about because it's been like 20 years.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, I remember.
And that's the best, man. That's when the nostalgia hits you hard. Yeah. But yeah, so we're going to have conversations. I'm going to try and do something a little bit different, something that we've never done before. And the nature of things that go viral or popular on the web, they have to be short. So we can just play some of these things that we remember and kind of react to it. I have a feeling there's going to be things that that will be brought up that neither of us has even ever heard of. There'll be things that we've all heard of, and we'll get a good laugh on those. But it'd be kind of fun. And for people who are listening or watching, they'll have in their mind, like, holy crap, I forgot about that. Or, if you're watching or listening, make sure to, especially if you're watching on YouTube, leave comments of things that you remembered. Because, the internet's so vast, and there's things just happen on a day-to-day basis. There's just no way we're going to touch upon all of the things that were fast for that minute. It's like, the old 15 minutes of fame, but it's like shrunken down even more now. So, it's like 30 seconds of fame. And then it's on to the next thing. Yeah. So that's what I think is going to be so interesting about this conversation is, we're going to pull up a lot of memories and just laugh. We're just going to laugh a bunch in this episode. I have a good feeling about this one. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be experimental. We're not necessarily pulling in on like one topic. We're going to be touching on a lot of things. And the internet is just the topic itself, but there's all these like little subtopics that we're going to touch on. Kids nowadays, they're born into the internet. But we're at that age where, we mostly grew up in a pre-internet world. We did all of our, growing up before it even happened.
Yeah, we were high school before we ever got online.
Yes, exactly. We were high school when we got online.
Maybe for you guys. I'm a little bit younger than you.
Yeah, you're like a year or two. You're a little bit younger than us, but not that much.
I think I was a freshman when we got our first computer.
Yeah, and I got my computer much later than you even. Nick, what year would you say you got your first computer was?
Oh, well, it's
been like 92, I guess, 91, 92.
91.
And
yeah,
what was
91,
it? Like
92,
a
something
386, a 486?
Well, I don't remember for certain if the three. I know for certain we had a 386. If that was our first computer or not, I'm not super sure.
Gotcha. Was it the SX or the DX?
Well, I don't even know.
Oh my god!
No.
I think Martin's going to be more of a computer guy in this conversation.
All I do remember is when we had a 386 upgrading to a 486, and that was like the most amazing thing ever because like I was already into emulators. Like emulators was kind of in its real infancy, and so
wow, you started early.
Yeah,
still on the teat with the
well, and that's actually why I don't think it was the first computer actually.
Yeah.
But because I mean I didn't like get a computer and I'm instantly into emulators.
Right.
But I was finally able to emulate the arcade version of Street Fighter 2 when we upgraded to a 486, and I thought to myself, I'm done. I don't even ever need another computer now because life is good.
Yeah.
So you're still using that 486,
Right.
Yeah, right.
He's at home with it sitting.
Is that what's in your MAME cabinet?
I was like, life is just perfect now, and I'll never need another computer because now I can play Street Fighter 2 on my 486.
Nice.
Well, for our generation too, like we were constantly chasing that perfect arcade port.
Yeah.
And in PC, you could arrive there faster than you could at a console because it's just obviously more powerful. So, I bet you were like that. Martin, do you remember probably what year it was you first got your computer?
Yeah, it was around 89, could have been 90.
Whoa.
It was a Apple IIe. Had the
nice.
monochrome screen.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was kind of useless, quite honestly.
Well, by 89, the Apple II was like, what, out 5-6 years or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. It was, yeah.
Do you remember where it came from?
Definitely.
Was it like...
yeah, it was like the Post Exchange, the PX. I think it was on Fort Knox.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
I distinctly remember having, was it Karateka on floppy disk?
Yeah.
That was like the only game I remember playing on there.
Yeah, I've got that game.
Yeah. But shortly after that, I did get a 386 SX. Meaning it didn't have the coprocessor for the math chip.
Okay.
And I think it was a 16 megahertz with like 2 or 4 megs of RAM.
See, I have no
and
idea of
an
the specs.
80 megabyte hard drive.
I think my first computer was like, I say around 96 or 97. It was just like some Hewlett Packard and had Windows 95 on it.
This was
Probably
from the computer store. In E-Town, at the time, the only computer store in E-Town. So.
Yeah.
And that might have been the 93 or so.
Yeah. What about online, Nick? Do you remember the first time you... It's hard to have exact memories of something that happened that long ago, but do you kind of remember the overall feeling, what it was that you did? Like, where were you when you got online for the first time?
No. Well, I remember... I guess it was AOL. Was the first time we got online. So we had one of those external modems. Yeah. And, and so it would do the dial up and, that whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got it. Martin had this. Here it is, folks.
Wait for it. You'd hear that every single time.
Yeah, and it would take like a good, 45 seconds to a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't always... Yeah. Sometimes you would get this far in. And
yeah, you're still waiting. And then when it's finally done with all that static, then, AOL comes up and it's like, you got mail.
Yeah.
Well, we would go to like a login screen.
Oh, let's say welcome first, I guess. Like, welcome.
Yeah,
right.
You got mail.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one, everybody, though. They made a movie about it and everything.
And, what was the name of that movie?
You've Got Mail.
You've Got Mail.
No. I'm out of here.
Yep. But yeah, so you had AOL, you got online, and I mean, did you just have any clue what to do?
Not really.
It had blocks like mail, web.
Yeah, that's true. It had like a hub or whatever, I suppose.
Yeah, I
didn't even have AOL.
I feel like there was like that, just like a main kind of lobby kind of screen where you knew you could see where you could check your email and whatever, and then to like actually, I guess, get into the internet. I guess maybe there's like a little globe or something. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But and I remember finding different like chat rooms or groups or whatever for like, you know, you could kind of like search for things. And so I would search video games.
Yeah.
And Mortal Kombat 3, I think had just come out. And so I was searching, you know, stuff about that.
This was around 94, 95, I guess.
Yeah, something like that. And just like figuring out how to do some of the moves in it, because, you know, you just had to learn how you had to just try it in the arcade and figure out moves, you know, and then people are sharing it like online. And I remember just like, you know, looking up and figuring out like, you know, here's different ways that maybe this is how to do the fatality or whatever. And so then you'd go back to the arcade.
That's
and
huge.
Be like, oh, try this out. Yeah. And then, you know, and if something actually worked, it's like,
yeah. Can you imagine a time and day when like people online were just so nice about giving up information, you know? Like, it seems like that wouldn't be the case nowadays.
Yeah.
But yeah, as we've talked about, we've alluded to this many times in the past. Your little black book of arcade moves.
Oh, yeah.
Or, you know, fighting games.
The Bible.
The Bible, yeah. The Bible, the black book, whatever.
Yeah. They called it all different things.
Now, would you jot it down in like a scrap piece of paper before you would commit it to the Bible?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I just kind of wrote it straight into that. I mean, I was always like buying like those little inserts, the pages to put into
right.
it.
This is pre-Palm, so like you couldn't just erase. Like, well, you could.
Yeah, you could erase.
But yeah, that thing was great. Martin, do you remember like what type of thing you did on the internet? Like what it was? Like were you?
Oh yeah, definitely. We had the internet at home. It was through just our local phone service, I believe. So we didn't have AOL or Prodigy or anything like that. I remember specifically, it had to probably been 95, maybe early 96, going to Nintendo.com and looking at pictures of Super Mario 64.
Oh,
and
yeah?
just like surfing that webpage, and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. I can't wait for this game. And just like learning about the games and stuff.
I don't even think I found Nintendo.com yet.
No, I sure didn't.
The first time I saw Mario 64 was like seeing the thing at like Toys R Us or Blockbuster.
I mean, surely
or
we saw
magazines.
Like, pictures in magazines.
Yeah, we saw it in magazines.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't see it in motion or anything until we saw it, you know, like Toys R Us.
Yeah, I don't remember going to the website.
Yeah,
so you
here
probably
I've got
just
the Wayback Machine.
Oh, the Wayback. Yeah,
and
people
like,
check that out.
It was super simple. Like, I remember this. It had just like, it was a black background with red text with the N64 logo.
Most
Nintendo
pages,
Power Source.
Most pages in like the 96, 97 era was like that. It was either just a plain white or plain black, and just you know it was like all the same font. I guess you're
like super boring looking.
Super boring, and they had just ugly little graphics.
Yeah.
You know, just everywhere you went, like everybody used those same graphics.
I made one of those websites once.
Oh yeah, I did too, for sure.
It was awful.
They all were, Nick. But you were proud of your like little website.
But you did it.
I don't care. You know, like I remember the first website.
And they all had like those little like counters for like how many visits.
Yeah.
How many visits?
I had one of those.
Hits. Sure. And if it was under construction, it had like the little guy in the construction like hat or whatever, like under construction, like the whole page.
Yeah, nobody does the counter anymore.
No.
I wish they still did the counter.
No, man. I remember when I was making web pages, like that was looked upon as such a amateur thing to do.
Think about it on YouTube. You still have the views, right? So the counter is still there. It's still alive.
That was like super important to me.
Yeah.
When I made that first site, like, I gotta have a counter and you're always checking it. You would have like,
I got 13.
Like you would refresh and be like, no, but I want to see like how many I have actually got, not like because I keep refreshing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I totally remember that stuff.
And after that, I mean,
I don't even really remember like in
Yahoo,
those early AOL days. I don't even really remember going to like websites.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask. Like, where did you get the concept of like pulling up and going to a specific page?
I think it might have been through Yahoo. Because I remember a lot of just Yahoo with how they have their news and things like that. I'm not sure how I went. I don't know. I don't remember just typing in Nintendo.com.
Right.
But getting there somehow.
I mean, I remember that around the time that everything just like the .com thing started showing up everywhere. Like I remember seeing it in movie trailers and being like blown away at one point. Like, oh my god, they got like websites
Oh
for
man,
movies now.
yeah. The first time I realized I could watch a trailer for a movie online and not have to like go to the theater to go see it or whatever,
QuickTime.
that like
QuickTime
blew my
was
mind.
like major, right?
Yeah, oh
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody in the office, like the early 2000s, because I actually did web design in the early 2000s, so that was interesting.
And like
we have similar. We could probably have some interesting conversations about web design.
Tables.
and like Star
Style
Wars,
sheets.
Yeah.
Star Wars Episode 1 was coming out like around that time.
was gonna say
and so
that.
this is like the first time there's been a Star Wars movie in like forever.
Yeah.
And
that was huge.
And then you could just like watch the trailer online like however many times you wanted.
You could go to the theater, and people did this. They would just pay to go see like Meet Joe Black and watch the trailer and then leave.
Yeah.
or you could go to like QuickTime and just watch it there.
Yeah.
Because that was, I want to say that was like their first trailer. Apple, like when they started doing those trailers like that.
I remember making a collection of those too, like saving.
Really?
You could save it,
yeah,
yeah.
save those trailers.
That's
And
interesting.
I,
Yeah. I never thought to do
I don't
that.
think I still have like any of them, but yeah, I saved a lot of
I
them.
remember doing.
Imagine the
a little bit of
resolution on those things.
Oh man.
Could you even find a player that could play it anymore? Like I wonder, like what it even was. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be like, no, this is too old.
For me, I guess like in the internet, the first time I ever got online and didn't even know what it was I was a senior in high school, and I was a friend of mine was like a library aide, so he had access to the internet before like anybody really knew what it even was. And we'd go in there like during class. When you're a senior, you kind of have a lot of BS time. Really, you got like your major classes you still have to do, but then there's just time. And I would go into the library, and we would just go into the librarian's office, and we'd connect to AOL. And we just got in chat rooms.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
boy.
what we did. And we were so like amazed that we would instantly like I remember this, but like we wanted to know where everybody was from. That's like all we wanted to know, like where are you from?
Yeah.
And it would be from everywhere. It was just so cool, like the notion of talking to somebody who's like in Missouri or Florida or another country. It blew. Yeah, somebody just signed on to their messenger.
You would live for that, right?
Oh my god! When we get to that point, I did, man. I was like I was a messenger freak back in the day. Like I was always on those. But yeah, that was my like for sure distinct memory of being online. Was at school, in library, getting online. And from that point, I was just like hooked. Like I had to get online more. I didn't have a computer at home at the time. So I had a friend who, I'd go over to his house, like Danny. I won't say his last name, but we'd go over there and, we would get online and download stuff like just pictures,
Find whatever you can. Oh, waiting for pictures.
Yeah.
You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Big blocks, smaller blocks,
And
smaller.
we're like teenagers, so we're like pulling up pictures of like girls in bikinis. We're just like waiting anxiously, like oh. So that's what we did. Like that was like
Hurry
how
before mom comes.
Yeah,
It's downloading.
and it took forever. But that's my like earliest memory of being online. It's just signing in, the excitement. Like I don't even know what was happening. It was so new to me, and getting in a chat room and just talking with strangers. And I took to it right away, man. I loved it.
Man, and I don't want to skip ahead, but like the first time you get cable, like a cable internet.
Oh yeah.
And it just like blew my mind that like, wait, what? It's just always online?
Yeah.
What?
Just always on.
What? I couldn't believe that.
And the speed, right? Like before you would have to just wait. Like if you wanted to download music or a video or a game or something.
It'd take like a whole
it would take hours.
6 hours to download like a song. We're going to get to that too.
It took me a while to realize like I don't have to use
Sign
AOL
off, sign
anymore
on.
and go.
No,
I can just click on this blue E and I'm on the internet.
I think a lot of people were under the assumptions that the AOL was the internet.
Yeah, I mean,
know?
I totally was.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I couldn't understand that I can just click on this blue E for Internet Explorer
Right.
and I'm just online. What?
Well, I worked for a cable company like when cable modems were like still pretty new, like DSL cable, And I would get a lot of people who are just new to the internet in general. We're switching over from dial-up, and I had a lot of conversations like, no, you just, like you said, you just click on that little blue E because everybody had Internet Explorer on Windows. Just see it down there on the tray. Just click it. You're online.
No, you gotta go through AOL.
When do I put my login?
Oh, that reminds me of something interesting. So back in like with the 56K modem days, that was huge, going from like 14.4.
Well, it was blazing fast.
14.4 was awful, but then you go to 56K and it's like, oh yeah, it's faster. Yeah. Not a ton faster, but definitely faster.
Yeah, noticeable.
Yeah. And there was this modem back in the day.
U.S. Robotics.
That was big.
Those were the modems.
But do you remember the dual modem? Okay, it was a dual modem. So if you had 2 lines into your house, because at one point we had 2 phone lines into our house, you could plug both of them into the modem, and it would go.
Look at you, Mr.
Try
Fancy
to reach
Pants.
out. It would actually try to reach out to like grab like the top page of the web page and then the bottom page of it and like stream it faster.
Oh my god.
I'll go ahead and tell you it really didn't work.
They kind of pulled the
Maybe
wool
some of
over
you had better luck, but I didn't.
Yeah, you didn't notice the difference, huh?
Not
it's
really
happening any faster. Well, in theory, on paper, it makes sense. No, I thought where you were going with that was, when you had dial-up, you would get kicked offline. That was like a major bummer for most people. And I was like, oh, well, is this like a modem that just simply was like one line went in and it was uninterrupted? Your phone line wouldn't get interrupted, or your internet connection wouldn't get interrupted if a phone call came in or something?
You might have been able to do that, but I was a kid.
My brain was going that way, in that direction.
Yeah, and I already kind of mentioned, being into the emulators and whatnot. And I remember when Neo Geo games were first emulated, and because the games for that were like
big
60 megs, which was huge. Sure. If you're gonna download that on a dial-up modem.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Like,
it took forever.
Like, just start downloading and
forget about it.
8 hours forever. It would take like all day.
Wouldn't you kind of have to start over from your download too?
Oh yeah, from scratch.
So like if you got like a call or something and it kicked you off, you're like, no, because you got to start over.
Yeah. What did you guys do this? I'm sure you did. It'd be kind of late at night, and you'd start the download because you knew people wouldn't be calling in.
Yeah, I absolutely did that.
Absolutely.
We used to work at McDonald's that was in that Walmart, and I'd close and I'd come home at like midnight or whatever, and that's what I would do. Is that everybody's asleep, I would go and like try to download like the King of Fighters '98 or something.
Right. Hope that the screech to the internet doesn't wake them up.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and
that was another thing. I remember that.
But you had to like keep an eye on it too, because it would time out. Like you would have to jiggle the mouse every once in a while. It would take you offline if it thinks you're idle. And so I'm like,
the bandwidth.
Was that with AOL?
It's like Netflix. Yeah. Like you ever just like watch Netflix and you're just watching the show and it's like, are you still there? I'm like, yeah, I'm still here. I want to keep watching the show.
I'm like staying up like all night, like falling asleep, just like staring at this screen.
I didn't have to do that because I didn't go
saddlebags under the
and just kind of jiggle the mouse every once in a while. And if you like doze off and it kicks you off, you're like, no.
Oh man, like every 10 minutes, I'm still here.
And so, like when I did get those games, like I would make backups of them because don't lose this.
Wow.
So yeah, since we talked about broadband, let's scooch back a little bit and and we've touched upon AOL already, and maybe we don't need to go back any further. Maybe we could just go straight in. Hey.
Oh, there's lots to go back.
AOL is like most people's gateway to the internet, but that's not what I actually used because it was more expensive than some of the other ones that were around.
You had to pay higher monthly.
It was more expensive because it was the name brand,
Yeah.
I either had like Prodigy or CompuServe. It was cheaper, and I had to my mom was not getting online. She had no interest in it, so like it was coming out of my money, and I didn't have a whole lot of money, so I had to pick like whatever was cheap. And that's usually what I did, was like CompuServe, Prodigy. And we've got some discs here too. Like I don't know if you guys remember the free Frisbees that like people would pick up left and right at like
They
software.
made
It's-
really great coasters, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, and like any bookstore would have them, like
Yeah,
B.
Beatles,
Dalton's,
like,
Walden
you
Books.
just shake a magazine and like 8 would come out. You know,
Yeah. They would come in the mail like every week or every other day. I mean, it was getting ridiculous.
I mean, what? It's just so
Would they
much
print like
waste.
a billion?
Speaking of CDs, we're talking like, first computers and stuff like that. I remember too when we first got a CD-ROM.
Yeah, I do too.
That was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, we had like this giant box, and because it came with all these like demos and
Probably
all
came with a
games.
sound
Encarta.
card too, right?
Yeah, it did.
Came with the
now,
sound
now
card.
that you mention it, I've forgotten, but
That makes
yeah,
sense. Yeah, that
it
makes
did.
Because that was
And
pretty new as well.
and like I remember like one of the games that we got with it was like Battle Chess, the CD
Battle
version.
Chess.
Yeah.
And it was cool though because like all the pieces would talk,
Yeah.
and so they would
And
like
just kill each other.
You'd
know?
play
Oh,
like a
yeah, the
tutorial.
animations were so smooth.
I just like watching like the tutorial, like they would introduce themselves and tell you like how they move and whatever. And like the Rook was like a big like rock monster, and he's like, I am the Rook. It was cool.
Very cool.
I remember getting my first CD-ROM. It was the Pro Audio Spectrum 16.
Oh my god, he
Don't
remembers
ask me
the
what the-
models and stuff.
Dude, these are big things, right?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why, because
It's a big moment in a young boy's life when he gets his first CD-ROM interactive.
it didn't require the CD case that went in the CD-ROM. You guys remember that? Where you had to put the CD in a case and then stick it in the CD-ROM?
Oh, yeah.
I
a
do
tray.
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
Mine
because
didn't
of
have to do that. It had the tray that popped out, and you just put it in.
Oh yeah.
And I had the
just ejected like a music CD.
Yes,
like, yeah,
exactly.
okay, gotcha.
You know, I don't think ours didn't have that little case either, but I remember that like in schools.
in the library.
Yeah,
My library
yeah.
had that. Yeah.
A natural jumping up point from there would be to talk about some of the tech, and we're doing that right now, I guess. But internet specific too, like when you go online, like MIDIs, for example. Hearing those
Yeah.
like little songs of like popular songs in that like MIDI form. Like
Oh yeah.
you're familiar with MIDIs. It's just like beep, 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 it's just like little
Yeah.
beeps, and that I associate that with those early days of wait, here comes something you guys might recognize. That's a for sure MIDI sound right there.
Hamster dance.
But it kind of has lyrics, like sort of. Like MIDIs didn't even really have any kind of does or does. Like it was just
Yeah.
like just that's all it was.
Yeah.
Kind of like NES music, but cheaper. Then there was like Real Player. You had all the different.
Oh, I had Real Player. That was.
There was
pretty
all the
good.
media players, but Real Player was the one for some reason that sticks out of my mind the most. And just that dreaded buffering, like anytime you'd want to click on a video, like let's just say, for example, it is 1997, and you want to see a 20-second clip of a game coming out on Nintendo 64, and you'd have would pull up on those early websites in a real media like play, and it would just buffer like every 1 or 2 seconds, like it would be like zzz, 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 buffer. And you're just like, oh my god, this is the most painful thing ever. You never, you would do all kinds of tricks, like you would slide it back to the beginning and hope that it would just kind of like maybe it'll go along faster if I slide it all the way back. And you never had the patience to just go walk away, and at least I didn't.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted to watch it. And you put in a CD or a DVD or a tape or something, you expect to watch it. But there it was just it couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
Now at broadband, a lot of that went away,
Right.
but it seemed like there for a while. There just never seemed to be enough bandwidth to play
No.
those clips, and it was a very exciting but frustrating period of time. The Shockwave, I remember that.
Oh yeah,
We
Shockwave.
brought that up.
That was pretty big.
But-
First kind of interactive games and things like that.
Yeah, that was big, but it was Flash
Yeah.
that drove the internet. I feel like for years,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and people would make the interactive games with it, but that also it kind of like bled into like media and stuff, and we're going to talk about a bunch of that later on, so I don't want to jump too far ahead, but Flash was a game changer. Can you guys think of any other tech? I mean, I guess you could say MP3s was pretty huge. I mean, it was just
Oh,
a
yeah.
compression format, and it wasn't just specific to the internet, but that, I mean, everybody thinks about the internet downloading MP3s. So that was like a file format. That was tech that came along with the internet. Anything else you guys can think of?
I mean, you mentioned MP3s, and I just remember that time of just like trying to rip, not only just downloading from the internet, but just taking your CDs and ripping the MP3 files from the CDs, like just finding different programs that would do that.
Just a free program to do it.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And then they would sell programs too. And I was like, that's for suckers. Like, who would buy
Yeah,
this?
well, yeah, because you'd come across a free one that you'd think is pretty good, and then like it would only allow you to do like some tracks but not all tracks because buy it, to get all of it, or it would only let you do so many seconds instead of like the entire track or something.
Yeah, something to unlock the full.
So you're always like looking for like that,
I mean,
right?
because you want to get a free one, so you're always on the search for like the best of the free ones.
Yep. Oh yeah, and since you mentioned search, I'm gonna skip to that. I'm gonna go out of order here just a little bit, and I want to talk about search engines. The real Wild West. This is pre-Google, everybody. I remember constantly being on the search for the best search engine. Yeah. No pun intended, but there were so many of them, and everybody had the one they really liked.
Web crawler.
Yeah, well, okay. Here's some that I found. Like, so there was Metacrawler. I guess Web Crawler was one.
I think so.
Hotbot, Yahoo, Ask Jeeves.
Ask Jeeves.
The little butler guy. And like it really would. The algorithm, I guess, wouldn't work properly unless you put a question mark at the end. Like, you had to ask it like a question. Like, it was really cute, but also like, really, come on. But yeah, that was a big one. I feel like that was a kind of a step forward. Yeah. But there was Alta Vista.
Oh yeah, I felt like Alta Vista was like the better one out there.
Yeah, it felt like the champ until Google. I never really used Yahoo. I don't know what it was. I don't know if I was just turned off by all the stuff that was going on around it.
I didn't really.
I mean, Google, the way it pulled up search results was better than anybody else. But I also just loved the simplicity of it. Mm-hmm. It was just a damn box that you just put your search inquiry in. And that was like, and then I'm feeling lucky, like you could click on that if you wanted, but that's all it was. And that really appealed to me back then. Just like, I don't want to see all this busy stuff everywhere.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I originally used Yahoo and it has all kinds of stuff on it, right? Yeah. All kinds of links and things. And then
people pay them money to put ads, billboards, and
Yeah. Which that's an interesting point too. Advertisement on the early internet.
Pop-ups.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Pop-ups and pop-unders. I remember
installing pop-up blockers and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not something you think about too much anymore, because most of the major browsers we use just have it built in nowadays, it seems. Pop-ups were a major problem. A major problem. Like, you couldn't click out of them fast enough, man. It was like you click on the little X, and sometimes they'd fool you. Like, they'd put like embedded inside the box like a little X. You click on that, and it's just like more shit.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you tricked me. But pop-ups were big. But I wanted to talk about search engines since we mentioned that. But Google just came in and squashed like everybody. I remember the first hearing about Google, and people were just like, "You heard of Google?" It's like, "Oh my god, it's the best." It just finds what I want. Yeah. And I guess that's where you would find, those search engines were great, because for the first time, I don't even really remember like the first time somebody introduced the concept of a search engine to me. I just feel like one day it wasn't there, and then it was, and I was all blasting off all over the internet. And I don't remember the first one I used or where it came from. Yeah. Because so much of the internet back in the early days was, like you said, you'd log into AOL or whatever, and there'd just be stuff for you to try out. It was just there for you. And you could go click links, and links would be inside of links, and you could just go on for hours. And, it's just, you were happy because it was the first thing you had. But then the idea of like the search engine came along. It was like, well, I would like to find out about Mortal Kombat cheats, You just boom, and then you're off to like GameFAQs.com or something,
Yeah.
And it was just a wonderful thing, and that, to me, that's just the magic of the internet when it really blossomed and took off. It just being able to, like, things you just sit in your head and like, what is it that I just want to know? Like, you didn't even have like a specific thing in mind ever. You just just think of it and do it. And then sometimes you would, when things like YouTube came along, you would just get led into other stuff, recommended, like they would just recommend stuff. But back then it was just like, what do I want to learn about? I'm just going to find out.
Do you remember putting in the codes in Mortal Kombat to like unlock the hidden characters?
You mean like the directions in the control?
No, well, it wasn't really directions
the
because
buttons?
there were like the symbols. Like when you would have like
yeah,
when
I
you'd
remember
have a
that.
game over, it'd be like a countdown, and there'd be like a line of symbols.
And we just knew to press a button.
And like on Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, you know, there were the 3 hidden characters in the middle of the character select screen. There was like Ermac, Classic Sub-Zero, and Melina, I think maybe. But anyway, because you needed to have like 2 people. I mean, you could do it one person, but it was like really hard. But
yeah.
Because you'd have to do like some people on player 1 side and some people on player 2 side to like push the buttons so many times to
Remember
get
how
the right
annoyed
symbol.
you get when like somebody wouldn't just, because wasn't there like one simple one that like it would disable something?
Well, you're talking about like when you're playing the game.
Yeah.
And this is like a game over to unlock.
Oh, okay.
Like because once you unlocked it, it saved it and it was done for good.
Right.
That's kind of the point I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Is that we were the ones that unlocked the hidden characters, and then it was just saved in the game
Oh yeah.
forever, unless
Didn't
it
you
was
just
like.
feel like
Powered off or
like a
something.
superhero like walking away?
I feel like there was memory, like even if it powered off, it was still saved. But you'd have to do like a factory reset or something.
you just like do it and like you're welcome, Aladdin's castle.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, 'cause
Drop the mic and walk away.
I'm pretty sure we unlocked like every one of them at like our Aladdin's castle. That I would find the codes like on AOL or whatever.
So you spoiled it for everyone.
Yeah, I spoiled it for everybody. Or made everybody happy. Like, hey,
Well,
there you have
could look at
classic
it either way,
Sub-Zero
yeah.
now.
I would just be happy. I'm like,
There you
oh
go,
wow,
yeah.
that's awesome.
I feel like
Probably had no idea where it even came from too. Just
Probably
like,
not.
either Melina or Ermac was like the first one we got the code for. And it feels like it was like a week like in between like each one.
mm-hmm.
And I don't know if like this stuff was like slowly leaked somewhere.
It's just probably how often we were able to get up to the arcade too.
Yeah.
Like,
But like we'd go up there and there'd still be that question mark, and so here, let's try this one, and you punch in like however many
oh, that's
times.
so cool, man. Yeah, I remember those days. It was very fun. And thank you, Nick. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Remembering stuff like that. What nowadays you would consider just social media, like Facebook, Instagram, but before that, the things that were leading up to those things. And by that, I mean
MySpace.
yeah, there was GeoCities. Let's talk about GeoCities for a minute, I guess. Did you guys make a GeoCity
I don't remember
page?
much about GeoCity.
Yeah, I mean, I know the
Honestly.
name, but I don't know anything about it.
It gave you the option to customize, but it was just very limited. And I think that was just most of the appeal. It was just like having that option of personalizing and making it yours just a little bit. And pages like MySpace would later do that too. Like I remember like being vaguely like getting a little bit interested in HTML because like you could kind of do things in MySpace to like change the appearance of it a little bit if you knew a little bit of HTML.
I think that's maybe why I avoided like the GeoCity stuff is because it looked kind of crazy, right? Everyone.
Oh my god, it was make your eyes bleed. That was like all the spinny graphics and stuff we're talking about. It was ugly as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll probably throw up some sort of image of it while we're talking about it if you're watching on YouTube. But yeah, just if you're younger and you have no idea what we're talking about, just go look at like GeoCities. Just find an image, a screenshot of a GeoCity page. Just blah. But yeah, MySpace. Let's talk about MySpace. The precursor to Facebook. The thing that I remember about MySpace the most was creating an account, and then Tom would insert himself into your 8. Remember, like having to choose like your top 8, and like that being like a real thing for a lot of people to stress over.
No, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
I
if you
I
had
really
more
didn't do
than
anything
8
with MySpace. Like I created a page and then I did nothing with it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not even sure I made an account, but I remember MySpace, and I think I had a friend that made one.
It was really stressful because
Around that time, I was more in a Napster.
Yeah, well, I was huge into that too. Like a lot of my time was spent, but I mean, I was interested in MySpace because I was very I was into the social aspect of the internet big time. Like I would just get on, like people would talk on the phone. Like I don't know about you guys, but I would. I have a feeling Nick's probably not. Like I didn't talk on the phone a whole lot, but I was absolutely one of those people that could just get on the phone and talk with somebody for hours and hours and hours, and like just talk forever. So like being always connected to just so many people was just crazy for me.
I remember in the like early AOL days getting into like you're in some group or whatever, and then somebody starts like chatting with you, and so I would always just kind of like respond back, but I'm always sitting there thinking like, why are you talking to me? Like,
It was probably somebody like me. Just
I'd always be like, is this a boy or a girl? Like, is this
ASL,
real?
right?
Yeah.
Age, sex, location. Like that was like a big deal.
but yeah, there was like this one person that just kind of like felt like, I don't know, we connected or something and was trying to be friends, and I'm just being cordial or whatever. But
Yeah.
in the back of my mind thinking like, why do you keep bothering me?
No, but you could like leave yourself open and somebody could just latch onto you too. Like that was a thing. And just imagine if you were a young girl. I mean, it was like 100 million times worse. But I remember like if you had more than 8 friends, you'd have that top 8. Let's just say you had 10 good friends, 2 are getting left out. And you'd be like, hey, man, like I used to be in your top 8. What happened? Did I do something wrong? Like, I remember feeling that way,
Yeah.
Or if you're like seeing somebody and then like some new guy appears and like the top 8, you're like, who's this friggin' guy? Like I remember that feeling and like those moments of just being like anxious and like stressed out.
Social media destroying lives and families.
Even
already.
back then. But we talked about chat rooms already. Usenet groups. Did you guys use those ever?
No.
Remind me what that is.
Usenet groups was like it was like pre-message. It was like early on message boards. There would be all these established groups, and you could join one, and there'd just be all these like threads, and you could just open up the thread and just read all the replies.
I mean, I have connected to like news groups and stuff like that.
I just remember being a thing because when you got online, your provider gave you a Usenet like login and stuff. Like I actually remember it was a big deal to a lot of people. Not me particularly, but I remember that just being a thing.
Is that where you could go and download a bunch of games and stuff?
No, I think that's probably more like MRC. Like that's Merc. Okay.
Well, I think some of them you could though, because there were. I just remember reading about different, like connecting to different news groups or whatever. That
what? It might have been like Merc. Like in Merc, and you're looking at those different channels. Like you do a search, you pull up a list of channels, and then there'd be like brackets of like what files they were offering at that moment.
Yeah, because I was always
program,
like
right? It wasn't
in search
IE.
for whatever to get, whatever ROMs. And I just remember hearing like from one source that, hey, you should connect to this group to, whatever.
If I'm not mistaken, Martin, it was just like something in your control panel you would just go to, and you'd have to set it up, just like you did with internet. So you would go in, like remember you used to do like protocols and like especially if you had an email, like you had to set up all that stuff.
Don't remind me about those things.
SMTP servers and all that stuff that we used to have to go through. Well, Usenet was just like that. It was just another thing that you could set up, and then you would just open up. I'm sure there were certain programs that were just for Usenet, and you'd open it up. But I mean, I didn't use it a great deal, but it was very similar to IRC. I think Nick, you might be right. There might have been Martin. There could have been some. File downloading capabilities. Could have just been like they shared an FTP. Could have been as simple as that.
When we used MIRC, I remember always like changing the graphics and like the color scheme and everything to be kind of like the Matrix, so it would have like, like a black background with like the green letters.
It moved so fast, and your eyes would just sort of adapt to it after a while.
Yeah,
where you could just make it because it was all different colors. And you could go into IRC in the settings, deep in the settings. Like by default, it's like all white in the back.
Yeah, and every time I did like a fresh install, it was like the first thing I do is like change the background to be black.
Oh yeah, yeah, same.
Big Matrix fan.
Who wasn't?
It was, but like he says though, it's just easier on your eyes though, because the white was just like so blinding.
Oh, yeah, it was piercing. But yeah, MIRC, we briefly touched on that. Like. We might as well get into file sharing if we're going to go there. MRC, not a lot of people used it because it wasn't easy to use like some of these other programs. But it was the deepest. Like that's where you could get anything. If you just knew how to find it, it was there.
Yeah.
Now, Napster obviously was the thing that kicked it all off. What was his name? Sean? God, I can't think of his name.
I don't know.
The guy who created Napster, it was just a way to share files. It was just so innocent at first.
Yeah.
Bear share.
Sean Parker.
Bear share. Wasn't that the one that like gave you all kinds of like friggin' viruses and stuff? That Yeah, there was Kazaa. That was the one I remember people used when
Metallica
Napster
good.
got shut down.
Napster bad.
Yeah, we'll get there. James Hetfield, Metallica. There were those certain artists that were like rally against Napster, and it got shut down, and it wasn't even around for very long, if I'm not mistaken. Like in the grand scheme of things, Napster, it was immediately in trouble. You'd get Napster, everybody heard about it. It was on the news.
LimeWire.
Yeah,
LimeWire was a big one.
That one, you got a lot of viruses from that one.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, the reason you got viruses is like instead of just songs, like you could start downloading programs and video files, and they would just, you know how it is. You can't just download an exe and then open it. But with Napster, the thing I remember too about hating about that is like sometimes you would actually think you were downloading a song, but it would be some other thing. Like they would even name it the song and like to mislead you on purpose.
It's like a Trojan.
And it would be it would be that. It could be that, or it could just be like some. Like I remember they're like listening to songs and like 10 seconds in there'd be like a screeching sound, like you bastard, who would do this?
I remember I think around that time getting my first CD burner. Yep. Mainly because of Napster.
Oh man!
It all like
and
it was like the perfect
spindles
storm.
And spindles of blank discs.
50 packs of CDRs.
And for PlayStation 1 games.
Yeah.
I didn't do those. I didn't know about that until Dreamcast, really, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I had so many spindles of discs
and binders.
I'm still throwing
binders
them out.
galore.
I could build a house with just stacking binders. Like, no,
you'd get like you get the labels and the CD stamper.
I had the Stomper.
The Stomper was the brand name, baby.
I had the Stomper.
Yeah, we'd print out the label to look like the CD or whatever, and then stomp it on there.
Yeah, Nick and I talked about the assembly line. It was like, okay. These are the 3 new games that are out this week. Start downloading those. And all those RARs. I got to get like all 60 RARs. And then as you're waiting for that, you're like, well, I've got cover art. I've got these 3 games I downloaded already. Now I need to get the cover art, and I got to burn it to the disc, get my Stomper. It's like I'm just not even enjoying the stuff I'm downloading. I had to have it.
It's like a factory worker.
Yeah,
that's kind of what it was.
Yeah, we're downloading like the Barbie game or something. We never have like any intention to ever play.
Yeah, I just remember going over to like Nick's house, and his desk is just like laid out with shit for CD Stomper, and like cut out
whose desk wasn't
not discarded the part of the disc that you didn't need anymore. It's just like it was crazy.
Did you guys ever make like the remix CDs? Like you'd pick out your favorite songs,
make
a custom
tracks?
box art and stuff.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I did that with tapes. So like naturally, like I remember the first time I got a CD player in my car and just being amazed because during those times the music industry was worried for a damn good reason. Because people no longer were going out and buying like singles and like CD singles and like $20 CDs. They were just picking out the one song they wanted, and it took the industry way too long to just go like, oh God, we gotta adapt to this. Like they just fought it. That's what they did.
Yeah.
They just fought it, and they lawsuit after lawsuit, and they went after Napster. And Napster was like, it's like Pirate Bay nowadays. Like, where's this money coming from? Like to defend this guy? Like how is he keeping it open? Like where's the money coming from? It just used to amaze me because like these companies, these record labels with their millions and millions of dollars would come after him after wave of lawsuits, and they would stay open and out of jail. It's like it blew me away.
Yeah.
But it eventually did get shut down, and that's when you had all the. This is funny. It's like, okay, you shut Napster down, but you'll never shut down every single one because anytime like one starts to show its age or get a little long in the tooth, a new better one comes out, and everybody just hops to that one. It's like torrents anymore.
Oh yeah.
Like, torrent sites like. You may sync the Pirate Bay, but there's going to be 100 others that are just like it, and they're just going to pick up the flag and keep carrying it. It's crazy. It's just an impossible war to win. And, I think it doesn't seem like it's as bad, or maybe I'm just older and have more disposable income and I just buy everything now. And
it's easier just to go buy it.
It is. It's just easier to go buy it and have it. Yeah. But, when we were like college student age, we weren't going to buy it ever anyway, so we might as well just take it. I guess is like the way to look at it. I mean, it's terrible. It's so terrible. And kids, I'm like, don't recommend you do this. Buying, it's bad.
Well, half of it was...
That's how you rationalized it back then.
Half of it was like, okay, I want to try this game. There's no like demo or shareware version. Yeah. And you'd like try it for 5 minutes and you never play it again in your life.
Right.
I'm not going to spend $50.
Well,
Sorry.
It eliminated the need to go rent the game. I mean,
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it basically was a way to rent it. I mean, because we said in different shows where we've talked about doing this before that if we really liked the game, we did buy it. Usually.
Yeah.
Usually, yeah. If you really liked it a lot, you wanted because you wanted the box. You know, as great as it, you wanted the box, you wanted the instruction manual, you wanted to put it up on your shelf. Especially you, Nick. I just know you really appreciated that.
Like, you know, if it was a Street Fighter game or something, I bought it day one, and then I still downloaded it just to have like this backup version, you know.
Right.
But
That you never ever once needed.
certain games I still always bought.
Yeah. Me too. And it's true. I mean, I would not have bought a lot of, you know, if I had downloaded 100 games, there's no way I would have ever even thought about buying like 90 of those games. And the 10 that I really wanted, you know, like you said, I could have downloaded it just so I could have played it early on, like a week early, but I'm still going to go out and buy it in the store when it hits the, the shelves.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure there are people to this day, because I mean, I think you can still go download like PlayStation 4 games and like put them on an image and
the
put
dark web.
I've never checked that out. But you can just get these gigantic like 3 terabyte hard drives and just play it right off of that. I mean, I'm sure people are doing that right now. And they're like obsessing over the same dumb trivial stuff that we did, like I got to get Barbie's, horse, Equestrian Games 2001, like I got to get that one because I got 2099. So like I got
Nintendo Switch, that's a big one. People are hacking that and downloading games for it.
Yeah. Another thing too is like in the
ROMs.
advent of online gaming, people got a little bit more. They paused a bit longer because out of fear of getting their account banned or something, like
oh yeah.
Once that started taking hold, like, and that's when you mentioned Switch, that's a major fear for a lot of people, even who have the capability to hack it now, because like the Switch has been hackable for a long time, but Nintendo's like permaban, like
they catch you playing like that, AAA game a week early, then
it's not worth it.
Yeah, you're banned for life.
Yeah, if you enjoy playing online, even if you don't think you're going to do it, you just, for me personally, in my mindset, I may want to do it. Maybe Logan wants to do it. Why would I get my account banned just so I can say I got it early?
Yeah.
It's stupid. So, But yeah, file sharing was a major part of the internet, and in particular, the early cable modem DSL days.
Oh, yeah.
I remember getting my street. I had cable modem before a lot of people because it rolled out slowly throughout the city, and our street was for whatever reason, it was one of the first ones scheduled to get the cables buried. So I had it super early.
I had it in my apartment. I think it was like 2000 is when I had the cable modem first.
I think I had it like 90. I want to say 98.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
But
I remember it was like around my birthday because it was kind of like a birthday present, but I don't remember what year it was.
Yeah. And I just remember being so excited. And that cable guy showed up, hooked up the modem. I remember I had to get one of those like crappy USB converters because I didn't quite have a Ethernet, like a dedicated Ethernet card slot just yet. You know what I'm talking about? Like there was like a USB converter thing that you could hook it up with. But and being online too, like made me more interested in the inner workings of my computer too. I was opening my computer and being more encouraged to, because with the more you could download, the bigger hard drives you would need.
Yeah.
I was suddenly learning how
upgrade.
I was doing upgrades. I was getting more memory so I could do more things at once. And I was getting bigger hard drives, and I was installing new I was putting a CDR in my computer.
I remember like, Star Wars Galaxies that we were going to try. That was whenever that game came out. Seems like that was around when we first got broadband because I tried to get online with you, but your computer was too slow or something.
It wasn't fast enough. I never had. I was always the bear. Like I had to turn all the shaders off. Like I was always just
horrible.
We did
I
manage
had a computer
to
just to get online. That was really all I had it for. Yeah.
We did manage to like connect and like actually like see each other.
Yeah.
But there was like so much lag. Like I would run off and do something, and you're like,
I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, dude, I've done all this stuff, and I'm like, I just see you standing there. Like what am I doing?
yeah, like I was like gone, and and
you were already like
nothing's
along.
moving for you.
You were 2 towns over, and I'm like still like, are we gonna move now?
And so we just gave up on it.
I remember doing the beta for that game, and it was just a hot mess.
Yeah,
it was just
it was.
Was it
horrible.
a beta for the vanilla version or the upgrade?
The vanilla version.
Because I was on the beta for the upgrade that did like the flying and everything.
Yeah.
But I wasn't.
That reminds me when they first tried to do like that Matrix online game, and that was a big fat mess too. Like people were all excited about being online with that. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that's the sweet sound, I guess, of Windows 98
booting up.
We're in that era.
Yeah, we were all Windows people too back in the day. Like I'm a hardcore Mac person nowadays. I have been for probably 15 years, but for the first 10 or so years of my computing life was all Windows stuff.
Well, like I said, I started with the Apple IIe, but then I don't think I immediately went to.
Well, the Windows
IBM
stuff was
compatible.
cheaper for one thing, and there was more to buy. I mean,
there were more games. I think, quite honestly, that's why I never really went back to Mac.
Yeah,
there was really no reason to get a Mac back in those early days, because they were struggling those days. I mean, this is probably like when I'm first getting online and stuff. I'm pretty sure Steve Jobs wasn't even with them. Like he probably didn't come back until he came back when they introduced their first MacBook or something, like those colored things. So he was gone for some time. But for a long time, Apple was like a joke. Like nobody got an Apple computer. What are you doing on Apple?
Just for education, right?
It's so weird. I remember, I said I worked for a cable company, and they had one of those Macs, one of those colored Mac. They weren't called MacBooks; they were just called iMacs. We had one of those colored iMacs in a training room, because they were like, one day someone will call you, and they're running OS X, and it was way different than like Windows.
Oh, yeah.
And if you got one of those calls and you dreaded it, like, oh God, please never let me get a Mac call. And you're like, I got a Mac, and you're like, you son of a bitch! Like, who is this? Is this who is that one guy from Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park? And he would do all those Mac commercials,
Oh, yeah.
I was like, who are you, that guy?
Jeff Goldblum.
I'm like, only Jeff Goldblum has a Mac. Who are you kidding me? or like screenwriters or something. Like nobody had Macs. But yeah, I would have to put on a wireless headset, go down to transfer the call to this room, go down to it, get a SME to walk with me, because like only they had any even knowledge of using the thing, and it just like so scary. Like oh my god. And and the whole thing was like, oh, it's super easy. And he was right, it was super easy. Like every problem just involved like deleting a file, and then it would just re-add it automatically or something.
Wow.
I didn't understand it at the time, and it would just get fixed. And people are back online. They're like, thanks. And you're like, whew, dodged a bullet there. Macintosh. Hello.
Hello.
Did you ever use Linux at all?
A little bit.
Yeah. There was like one point. Do you even remember? There was like the little hybrid of like Linux and Windows. It was called Lindows.
No.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
I tried that once. Let me look that up.
No, I just remember being in college, and like we had that one Linux guy. It's like, Linux, man, you gotta try Linux. And it's just like Red Hat's the best. And I just remember hating it so much. And it wasn't until like Ubuntu came out that I really gave it a try, and I was like, this is pretty good. And it kind of helped me transition from Windows to Mac, to be honest, using that, because it got me out of that Windows thinking, at least.
There's nothing wrong with the Mac OS.
It's really nice. It's super easy. It's like impossible to break, basically.
Yeah, it runs a lot better than a Windows 10.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean,
I'll tell you, the difference in I don't even worry about an antivirus thing. I just don't even worry about that stuff anymore. Yeah. I got a Surface Pro a couple years ago, the first time I had a Windows PC in like 10 years. And I was just like, ooh. And to be fair, it's a lot better than it used to be, too. Like Windows 10 is pretty solid, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But you still got to do updates
every night.
We
don't talk about Windows 8.
No, we don't talk about it.
Nobody talks about Windows 8.
I skipped Windows 8 entirely. Yeah. I went from like XP to like 10.
Yeah, I don't think I actually had a computer.
There was like XP and ME, and people were like, well,
I had
ME,
a computer at work with Windows 8.
Oh, no, I take it back. I did have, when I bought my first Surface, it had 8 on it, but I immedially got rid of it.
Get this,
because
kill it
with fire.
It was like
moving.
I think it was the time where you could download Windows 10 for free, and so I just immediately put
wasn't
Windows
that
10
bad?
Because
like I never used it, like I said, I didn't know. Was that
was
one of
really
those things
bad.
that just like word of mouth killed it immediately?
No, it was bad.
I mean, I was already like kind of familiar with it because like at work, like somebody had a laptop with it, and so I'd have to work on it.
I might have had 7. 7 might have been the last
7
one.
was good.
Yeah, 7 was really good.
Yeah.
So that might have been the last one.
Windows NT was pretty bad. If you guys ever
Oh
had
well,
that.
yeah, nothing really worked with NT. Like it was,
Nothing.
it was pretty
I
terrible.
remember having to set up in college like some render stations on those things.
It was like rock solid as a server, but like you couldn't do anything else with
It sucked.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't do anything.
Oh my God! What the other one nobody ever speaks of? ME.
That's what I said a second ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I missed
because
it.
I was like XP and then ME, and like
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
put ME
Oh,
on their
ME.
computers when you bought a new one, and it was like you were saying with
Yeah.
8, it was like get this out of here.
I remember as soon as I like installed ME, it immediately crashed. It like immediately died. You're like, well, screw
And it was
that.
just like, I'm sorry, I'm ME. What am I going to do? Yeah, I remember getting ME and then wiping it out and putting either 98 or I guess maybe XP. I don't know. XP came out before ME, didn't it? Wasn't it the one that came out before? Or did they come out around the same time?
XP is after ME.
Okay, so it was
98
SC. It was
ME, 2000 XP.
yeah.
Yeah, I was on 2000
Welcome everybody
for a
to the
while.
Windows Operating System podcast. Let's get out of this, guys.
Yeah.
We're going down a nasty rabbit hole.
Yeah, you're sure.
Okay. So yeah, so there was we talked about that. What should we talk about FAQs? I didn't really know where to put this. Like it was like such a major internet thing at first.
Yeah, like I don't remember like how I found it, but when I found GameFAQs.com, which is still around
Still
today,
around,
Right, yeah.
still very basic.
that was like the most amazing thing. Like
that's cool.
there was this like central place to anything, all games,
I
all
love it because you got
arcades,
different-
consoles, anything.
You got like different guides.
It's just this
multiple
huge
guides for each
database of codes, moves, walkthroughs,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Yeah. And didn't like people like make maps and like ASCII and stuff?
Oh yeah,
Sure, yeah.
definitely.
That was
And it was helpful too.
super helpful, way helpful. Because if you had a Nintendo Power, they'd give you like the maps to the first couple stages or something,
Yeah.
but not for the whole game.
And when I was a kid, I was always drawing the maps. Like
On graph
I would play
paper.
Super Mario Brothers, and I would pause like every little bit just to like draw something out, you know. And heck, I didn't even have graph paper. Like I would scribble it like on a normal piece of paper, but then maybe I might clean it up on some graph paper like
Yeah.
later on, you know.
Gotcha.
But-
So it's that first draft. It was just
Oh
on
man,
regular paper.
like
Not even line paper?
Super Mario 2.
Talented.
He is talented. That's true. He's a
Probably
good
not
artist.
Mario 3, but
Something you guys don't know about Nick. He's a good artist.
definitely Mario and Mario 2. Like I would just spend hours just like pausing every little
What
bit.
about those airships? Did you draw those out?
Well, that's Mario 3, and
Okay,
I don't think I did Mario 3.
I read.
I think by that time you were like getting like nice spreads in like
Probably.
Nintendo Power or something.
Spread. You like
you
a
know?
nice centerfold. Right. Oh yeah.
Look at-
I remember
look at
Nintendo
those
Power.
bombs.
Ooh, baby. Look at that airship.
I mean, it's not to say that stuff didn't exist before with Mario 2 and stuff. I don't know, I don't know
people
why.
had to play games like Metroid and map that stuff out. They had to.
Yeah.
Well, and that was in, that black book, that NES, whatever that strategy guide was called. I mean,
Oh, that was so cool.
I remember it had like a big map of Metroid.
Yeah.
So
That book was awesome. I'd like to own that book. Do you own that book?
yeah.
I thought so. Okay, boys. Now this is some of the like technical ins and outs. Let's talk about some of the more fun things about the internet. Like the things that we actually like look for and laugh about. Like I feel like the heyday didn't really start until we started seeing like these fads and these like the certain Flash cartoons. Let's talk about fads. And I'm sorry if there's like some overlap, or if you would consider some of what I'm going to call memes fads, or some of these fads may be like viral videos to you. Let's not get too hung up on that. But
Yeah.
I wanted to start with Beanie Babies, because
Beanie
I never really
Babies, yeah.
considered Beanie Babies an internet craze until I started doing some internet searching.
I didn't really.
I thought they were just in the real world.
Yeah, I don't really.
Well, they
connect
were.
Beanie Babies with
it's
the
not like
internet.
you bought them. Well, the reason it became such an internet craze is because of people reselling them for like lots of money.
Like
eBay.
like eBay,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And there were those people that were more like that was like their stocks and bonds, like they would just buy up Beanie Babies, like these rare Beanie Babies, and get crazy in stores, try to find like the tie-dyed one or whatever. Like I don't even know
Right.
which ones were
Yeah.
like considered rare.
Which one did you have?
I just had a Red Bull, and I called him Crappy the Bull. I thought he was awesome.
I just had the McDonald's ones because we worked at McDonald's, and
I think I had that one from like a Happy Meal. I don't know.
I would just
Maybe I was
collect.
too old. About that.
Since I worked there, I would just get like one of each.
I've always been kind of like a kid anyway, and like I'll still buy stuffed animals. I don't give a shit. But, come at me, bro. But
how many do you have now?
I got a handful. They're my kids.
Sure, kids, right?
They won't let me have them back. No, but according to this book and this site, like Beanie Babies is considered to be the world's first like internet phenomenon.
Huh. I do remember now that it was pretty big.
Yeah, you remember Beanie Babies being huge, but
yeah.
but did you associate it with internet? Maybe not. But
from the eBay standpoint, I remember hearing about that.
How else would you get rid of them, right? I mean, it was like eBay.
Yeah.
Now this is a bit newer fad, and these are not in order of these aren't chronologically listed. I was just in my head thinking of stuff. Planking. This is getting into the probably like iPhone era pretty much. I mean, this is like later maybe 2000s because everybody had like a camera and people would just you guys are both familiar with what planking is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just silly pictures of people like stiffly lying across like a sign or something. Like I remember, I never did it myself personally. I'm not. I'm just too soft.
Well, real quick, just as a tangent.
Yeah.
So a new thing right now is the bird boxing.
Oh,
right.
Stupid Sandra Bullock movie. Damn you, Sandy.
So people like blindfolding themselves and walking into the street.
That's what I'm getting at.
Or driving the car blindfolded. Do not do that.
The CEO of Netflix like having to get on Twitter going, please God, do not do these bird box challenges.
Right.
Yeah. So, but you're right. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about.
The water cooler challenge.
The ice. And that's a new
box challenge.
Ice box. Yeah. The ice water challenge. But chain letters. This is more old school.
Yeah,
I'm kind of going back. I'm going back a little bit. Chain letters were like a thing. Like I remember getting these things, and it was like they would prey on your superstition and shit. Mm-hmm.
If you don't do this,
if you don't do this,
send this to 5 of your friends.
Not only will you not be a millionaire, your family will die a horrible death. So, and I never once resent one, but lots of people did. Lots and lots of people would participate in those. Yeah. And anytime I'd get one from somebody I knew, I'd be like, dude, please don't. I know you got to have 10 people, but like, don't do that to me because I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah, it always stopped at me.
Right?
Yeah.
But we didn't do it, but so many people did.
Yeah.
Martin, you
I never forwarded that.
By the odds, like you had to have done it at least once.
Maybe once. That kind of reminds me of like when you started first getting spam from like the African King. You remember that?
I never actually got one of those, but you hear about them all the time.
Yeah.
The African King?
Yeah, like I'm worth millions of dollars, but I need $10,000 of your American money. And when I do this thing that I need your money for, when I get back to Africa, when I get all my wealth, I'll send you $1 million.
Yeah,
people buy this stuff. Like they're like, oh, okay. Well, you want $130,000? You want $100 in Walmart gift cards? Okay, that makes sense. You'll give me $1 million in return. If it checks out, do that.
Sadly, people fall for those things.
The elderly.
Yeah.
But yeah, chain letters is like a horrible thing to most people. Leet speak.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure you guys are familiar with this, where people would take numbers and exchange it.
Yeah.
Like E's were backwards 3s, and like I don't think I ever did it. I feel like I was exiting that adolescent period when like it was popular with adolescents. Like I was already pretty well into my adulthood. Yeah. So like it would just be pathetic if I were doing it. But Leet speak was definitely a fad of the internet. Those now I actually admit to doing these like the how well do you know me quizzes, where you would
is that more on Facebook?
Yeah, MySpace, Facebooks, whatever. Like you would do like 10 things like what was your first this or that, and then you'd send it to like 10 people, and it's just a way of getting to know other people.
I would kind of read responses like other people do. Like I'd see it like in the feed and find it interesting.
It's interesting,
but then I would never like fill it out.
It would
myself.
end with you once again. Like it would go into the trash with the chainmail letter. It's like, oh, nah, you guys don't get to learn a damn thing about me. But, it was a good way to learn about people. And, also, if you were just narcissistic enough, you're like, how well do the people know me? Like you would just be curious to like, how good a friend are you really? And you'd get upset like, you know know my favorite movie, Spaceballs. You're like, why would you say
Why would you put
Titanic?
that?
I mean, you know me, dude.
Right.
But those were fun. I participated in those a little bit. So the YTMNDs, or the You're the Man Now Dog. These were those. They were like pages, like GeoCity type pages of a single image. Oftentimes, like one of those old school GIFs, like animated GIFs. They always real ugly, and they would tile it. On your web screen, there'd be like, 18 Captain Picards.
Yeah,
and it'd be like this real cheesy font.
I know what you're talking about, but I didn't know it had like a name.
Yeah, well, it stands for You're the
either.
Man Now Dog, but it's that YN. Now, YTMND.com still exists. And that was like a for sure fad. Like people got involved, they would just go out and find like the most mundane, weird thing and just tile it, find some loop of a song, like, can't touch this. Like over and over.
One, yeah.
And then, and there'd be like a guy doing the Running Man. But it was like 80 guys doing the Running Man. That was a thing, that was a fad.
Yeah.
You guys, I may be alone in that one.
That almost seems like the precursor to like memes in a way.
Yeah, and memes, fads, and like viral videos, like it gets like tricky. Now, here's one that I actually enjoyed quite a bit: Chuck Norris facts.
Yeah.
The one where like Chuck Norris is so tough.
Oh yeah.
Those are everywhere, and I'm gonna share some of those with you guys. Chuck Norris can delete the recycling bin. That was not so great. Chuck Norris can speak Braille. I don't know about that one. Chuck Norris counted to infinity twice. That's more like it. Yeah. Chuck Norris does not sleep. He waits. That's kind of like Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris puts the laughter in manslaughter. I don't know about that. But I like these kinds. Like when Vin Diesel goes to donate blood, he declines using the syringe. Instead, he requires a handgun and bucket. Like, oh no, that's Vin Diesel. Those are like just derivative of the Chuck Norris, but same stuff. More or less like Chuck Norris is just. And there's some really funny ones. Like none of the ones that like I said were the greatest. Like. When the boogeyman goes to sleep when the boogeyman goes to sleep every night, he checks for the closet for Chuck Norris. Like that kind of stuff. Yeah. But it's like the "your mama's so fat" craze.
Right,
like anybody can make up one of these. It's just take some ridiculous thing, insert Chuck Norris, and it's funny. So that's a fad that I quite enjoyed, which is a bit newer, I admit, within the last 10 years. Let's see, what other fads do we have to talk about here? Rick rolling. The Rick rolling and like the failure to accept you've been Rick rolled. Like nobody wants to admit they've been Rick rolled. Like I think that's almost as funny as the actual Rick rolling itself. When you see like reaction videos where people will set somebody up on a camera, and you guys are familiar with Rick rolling, right?
Yeah.
It's like the whole phenomenon where like it's like bait, it's like clickbaity stuff.
Yeah.
It's something you'd be interested in reading about. You click it, and it's like, never gonna give you up. That Rick Astley Atlee song or whatever it is. Here, I'm gonna pull it up on mine so like, everybody can hear it here. So yeah, Nintendo Switch Pro images first revealed. Oh, cool. I'm gonna click on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get that damn Rickroll YouTube link. And the instant you see that YouTube pull up too, you're like, wait a second. This isn't right. Something's wrong here. This is for sure not the new Nintendo Switch Pro.
I'd love to know the origins of the Rickroll. I mean, why that song?
I don't know, but I'm glad he has a good sense of humor about it too. Like from what I was reading, like because this is like a 2007 phenomenon. In the 2008 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, he showed up like, on a float, more or less.
Rick rolling a float.
Like he knows he's there because of the Rick roll phenomenon. Nobody's suddenly interested in his music again.
Right.
But, like Rick rolling was like a kind of a popular thing to do. It's just like something to tease your buddies.
Yeah.
Speaking of YouTube,
yeah,
you guys remember when YouTube first came out?
2005.
I totally thought that was going to be a fad. Like, I did not think people were going to, like, broadcast themselves and put their own videos out there. I was like, that is never going to take off.
It's pre-iPhone. It makes total sense now.
Yeah.
But iPhones came out in 2007. Suddenly everybody has a video camera in their pocket.
Yeah.
or 2008. I don't think video cameras really were true.
Yeah, because it was hard to get video on the computer and to upload it, so it didn't make sense.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. And YouTube floundered for a little bit at first too. You know, it wasn't an instant sensation. There were challengers to the YouTube throne, and that like Daily Motion, and
that was awesome.
Yeah, there were all E-Bomb's World, and there were all kinds of like services out there.
I remember E-Bomb.
Yeah, if you wanted to watch a funny video, it could pop up anywhere. So YouTube really just sort of became. I think once they started integrating, like once like Google bought them and stuff like that, once they became more and more embedded into things you were already using, you kind of had no choice but to use YouTube anymore. Right. And they had like the creator, like, the YouTube content creator programs to like make a little money. Like that's kind of non-existent anymore.
Yeah. And this show's on YouTube, so
this show's on YouTube.
Fairly
like,
successful.
I'll let you guys know. Like this show has probably earned in views like $4. It'll be decades.
Click the like button.
Yeah, watch this video. It'll be decades before I make $100 on YouTube, because there are all kinds of like. I don't want to get into that. It's not the platform. But yeah, YouTube, I remember when it was first coming out. It didn't take off right away. And you'd be absolutely correct to think this is just the latest thing. Just like nowadays when something new comes along, like WhatsApp, like I remember when Twitter was like coming out and nobody used it at first, but then it was the thing. Yep. And then people were like, no, you can't use Twitter. You're old. Like it went from like, you're old if you use Facebook. You got to use Twitter. You're old if you use Twitter. You got to use Instagram. You're old if you use Instagram. You got to use
Snapchat.
Yeah, you gotta use Snapchat. Oh, you're old if you use Snapchat. You're like, oh my God, I can't keep up with all this stuff. It's just ridiculous. So, but yeah, YouTube was absolutely in that line to be just the next thing that was out there that you could just do in the free internet world. But yeah, so there's that. There's the fail and epic fail. Like those people would make videos, and it was really just like fail and epic fail is just the next iteration of like funniest home videos. It's just like some dude biffing it on a skateboard. Yeah. Some horrible incident.
It's like Jackass.
Yeah, it's like Jackass. Like, oh, this guy's like doing something and he like bites it on his face and they're like, fail.
I've seen stuff like that, but I never really thought of it as like a thing, though,
Oh, it's a major thing. Anytime it like enters like pop culture and you start seeing it in like shows and like people like on the news using it your dad or your mom using it in a certain way, that's when it's like super popular.
Yeah. Mainstream.
It's mainstream. But like I got a kick out of those, and Photoshop challenges for me is kind of cool because I remember when like Photoshop was not typically known as it's always been a professional tool, but it became so synonymous with just putting people in situations, doing things that would never go together, like that. It became like the verb. It's no longer Photoshop the application. Like you Photoshopped something. And one of the things that I used to really enjoy, and it was a kind of a fad on websites like somethingawful.com, is they would have like this thing called Photoshop Fridays, where somebody would post a picture, and then the challenge was the next person took that same picture and Photoshopped something silly into that. And then the next person would take that person's photograph that was silly and makes it sillier somehow until like you're 80 in, and then it's just completely ridiculous. And I used to get such a kick out of, watching these Photoshop Fridays develop, and it inspired me to get involved, and I would come in, and do my version of Photoshop Friday. So Photoshop challenges were kind of a fad.
I didn't have that much time on my hands.
I never slept. I guess that's how I did it.
I did use Photoshop though,
but probably more in a professional
right. Yeah.
And Nick, I know you use Adobe products for your.
Yeah.
You say like I guess I had but you do like projects, pixel art that didn't need to be done. I mean that was like the thing you would do. You weren't getting.
What do you mean it didn't need to be done?
I was like, what?
The world needs this. But all I'm saying is you enjoyed it. You would spend lots of time doing your pixel art and
hobby pixel art.
It was. It's like a hobby. It's a hobby, and you're honing.
It needed to be done.
It didn't need it. The world didn't need it, but it was fun, and you honed your skills and got better, and it leads to professional things down the road, obviously. But you know what I'm saying. Don't throw me under the bus and like make me sound like I had no life because I did Photoshop challenges.
Photoshop Fridays, bringing it back. You heard it here.
I never had a date on Friday night. I was watching Photoshop.
When are you gonna get to Joe cartoons?
I'm getting there, man. I was gonna mention Neopets. Did you guys do Neopets?
Is that like a Tamagotchi?
I don't know.
Nah, I was too old for Neo.
All right, let's go Flash cartoons, everybody.
Yeah,
we touched on it for a minute before. And this is a very specific early 90s, or late 90s, early 2000s type of thing. Joe's cartoons. Nick, would you like to talk about Joe's cartoons for a minute?
Superfly.
Yeah, let me
Bring him up.
I'm so wasted.
doing your mama. Like, what's that? Joe's. Yeah, I want to skip ahead.
What's up?
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? It's me.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's like Cheech Marin, kind of.
Come on, your daddy. Because I did this to your mama. I did this to your mama. Your mama.
It's so juvenile.
Mama. Oh, yeah, you suck. But you're so sweet.
But your mama's sweet. How many times do we quote that, Nick, over those days?
You do suck.
These Joe cartoons had a very specific look too, didn't they? It's like
Yeah.
it's like paint
Oh, my
with but animated.
What is it?
Oh, my freaking head.
Are you crazy?
And
I
so
like
there's Superfly. There's let's see.
I like the frog in the blender.
Let's do Frog in the Blender. So this is the interactivity part. Like you. Can
Oh,
click.
yeah, you could
Yeah.
click the different buttons so it goes faster.
What a pansy.
What a pansy.
You know, they would always insult you.
I'm spinning. Hey, dumbass, you trying to make me puke? Yeah, jerk.
Sorry, Martin can't really hear this. So he's going kind of slow. And now he's oh no, God, it's so terrible. So just, once you get tired of him insulting you, you just go right to that final button and where he
Right.
gets blended awfully. So yeah,
cool.
Joe cartoons was a lot of that. It's that style of humor, that Beavis and Butthead style of humor.
Yeah.
I remember that those things definitely made the rounds at the office.
Oh my God, they sure did. And, you know, that's what I'm going for. It's that golden age of the internet, man. Joe's cartoons, Napster bad. You know, like,
Yeah.
here, I gotta pull that up for just a second.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Skip ahead a little
Bought
bit.
his very first gold-plated Ferrari, and the fucking thing came with, you know, like a crew of naked
'cause
Filipino
Metallica pretty
sex
much
slaves
shut them down,
and this
right? They're the
Mexican
ones that-
houseboy.
They were the-
all
they were the big
free,
name
just 'cause he's from
opposing
Metallica,
them.
you know? That's fucking rich, man. So where was I? Oh yeah, all you
So the
post
language
boys
advisory
who
for
bought,
you
like,
kiddos
our
out there.
albums and our T-shirts and our concert videos and
T-shirts, good.
you loyal fans who like bang your heads at our concerts and pay like $200 for a ticket,
love that James
$20
Hetfield
for
is
like
basically
a CD,
Frankenstein.
like $50 for a Metallica T-shirt, and like $100 for a genuine Metallica cock ring. You're all fucking awesome, and we'll never forget you. You fucking made us rich. You
Where's his
fucking made
nose?
us popular. You got us under the cover of, you know, like Kerrang magazine. I worship you. You, the Metallica fan.
Beer, good.
Unless
Where's the part where
you
he's just
downloaded
like
until it
starts
sleeps
crawling
from
around the
Napster,
screen?
and
That's
you're
when I
going
get
to motherfucking
cracked up.
jail. You're motherfucking
He just
meat.
gets all
You piece of
worked up
fat,
and he's
greasy
just-
Oh, there
tattooed
he goes.
bastard's buttery
Yeah,
cornhole.
coming up.
Who do you think
There it is.
you
There.
are?
He turns into like
Made us
an
rich.
animal.
think
You know,
can
he
get
starts
free
crawling
stuff?
around
Songs that
barefoot
we spent upwards
all
of,
over
you know,
James
like
and around the
24 to 48 hours writing it.
Yeah, so that was classic. I mean, everybody worshipped the Napster bad. Homestar Runner. I don't know if you guys.
Oh, yeah.
That
I'm
was
not
great.
familiar with that.
Oh wow. Okay, here we go. This is what I was talking about at the top of the show.
You know,
There's
strong
gonna be-
bad?
Strong bad.
The
is-
strong bad emails.
Yeah, get the emails.
You gotta
it's
play
this-
like the Homestar Runner like theme song.
I'm pretty sure that up until really recently, they're still making them too. Like here, if you've never seen it before, I'm gonna go right to the
Yeah, you
Burninator.
Trogdor!
Trogdor the Burninator is the best. This was a huge internet sensation.
Go once again with the email every week.
So every episode started out with him answering a fan's email.
Hey, strong man, can you draw a dragon? I want to see your skills of an artist.
I love this guy.
Well, G2G, guys are from California. The dragon, that's easy. Feel free to follow along with my simple step-by-step
Yeah, so
dragon.
he's gonna start drawing the dragon.
Whatever. Next, we'll draw a more different hat. For the head, put a top mark on a long V. Then you add some legs,
I love the beefy legs.
arms, and... Whoa. Wait a minute. I think I need to start over. Thing doesn't look natural. Okay, starting again.
So anyways, this progresses like that's the final verdict of Trogdor, but then it really gets to the best when he makes the song up.
Check out all his majesty. There's my good one.
Where's the Trogdor? Here we go. This is the real reason I love this.
Again. Trogdor was a man. He was a dragon man.
It's just silly, man.
He was just a dragon.
This is like TV funhouse type stuff. SNL. I'm sure this guy has been in the business for some time. He has to be a writer for some show. I mean, he's just too talented.
Yeah.
And I think he did it all himself. Like, I think he wrote it, directed it, animated it. Like, he's a super talented guy.
There's games and stuff on this website too that they would like a lot of times be reminiscent of like an old Atari 2600 game. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was great. And what made it so fun too, because like it was like the first Flash type series that had continuity to it. You know, he would continuously introduce new characters.
Strongbad would always get like a new computer too, like that.
It's the Compy 386.
Yeah, and he would upgrade his computer to like the Compy 486 or something.
Oh, it's great. Do yourself a favor and go fall down the rabbit hole of Homestar Runner.
Yeah.
All right.
Strongbad is one of my favorite all-time internet personalities.
My favorite one, aside from the Trogdor, is the I don't know what it's called, but it's about anime. Oh, that's funny.
Oh,
but
was it Limousine? No, never mind.
no, it's like anime stuff, and he's like, drawing anime characters, and he's like, he's got to have blue hair, man.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I just love the way he talks too. Like, it's real funny, like all the way, like the little mannerisms of it. Limousine, the rock band,
and he's talking about like when they open their mouths, like when they talk, like in anime, like it's really small when his mouth is closed and humongously big when his mouth. And it would just have him like open and close his mouth.
I don't even know his name, whoever does it, but he's so talented, ridiculously hilarious guy. So yeah, there's Homestar Runner. Kids, check that out. That is great. This is the kind of thing that would have like a Hulu series now, or you know what this reminds me of, Nick? It's like pre-Adult Swim.
Yeah.
It's got that edge to it.
Yeah.
So, maybe this guy went on to write for some Adult Swim show. I don't know. If you guys know, let me know, because I would.
Are they still producing new ones?
I don't think so. And he disappears too. Like he'll kind of come back and have another run of them. But I want to say within the last 3 years he's done episodes. Nick, you can check on that if you want to. But anyways, moving on from Strongbad, we have what's some other Flash? Happy Tree Friends. Do you guys remember that? Like weirdness is kind of also like, it's like Ren and Stimpy style humor, real crazy.
Vaguely, didn't really get into it.
30-Second Bunnies. Tell me you guys have heard of that.
No.
30-Second Bunnies, and this is like one of those things when I can just show you like a whole thing, because 30-Second Bunnies is he takes bunnies and 30-second movies, more or less is what it is. They'll take a popular movie and do the whole movie in 30 seconds. So they do these really hilarious like smash cuts.
Oh,
like,
I think I remember this.
Yeah, so let's see. 30-Second Bunnies. Titanic is the one that I remember the most.
Yeah, I remember this.
But this was a huge fad for a while. Like here, let's do Jurassic Park.
I'd like you to visit and endorse my park. I spared no expense. Can't control life. It always finds a way. We made it so they can't breed. They're breeding.
Smash cut. Smash cut.
No expense. I gotta steal some embryos. Be right back. Oh no, a storm's heading this way. Did you hear something?
It's just
Wonder you were extinct. Come here, girl.
And they're bunnies, like everybody's a bunny, and so it's real cute. And they made one for just about any movie imaginable. 30-Second Bunnies is one that I really
haven't
enjoy.
seen those.
Oh, they're great. That's another one you can fall down. They Brokeback Mountain. I feel like we guys should watch that one too. Actually, if you've never watched Brokeback Mountain, that's the thing too. Is like you got to watch these movies and be familiar with them. Borat, Kevin Spacey. Let's see, Teeth. I mean, like that's a fairly newish movie, so they've been doing them a while. Where's Titanic?
Wow. I've seen what are they called? The Happy Tree Friends.
Yeah, I mentioned those a second ago. But anyways, 30-second bunnies is a really good fad. And we're not flab, but flash cartoon type thing. Radiskull. Did you guys see Radiskull and Double Doll?
Mm-mm.
Here, I'll pull up a quick clip of that. You guys might recognize it. Radiskull and Double Doll is a very early Flash phenomenon in the Joe's cartoon vein. Double Doll's really cute.
The characters look familiar.
Just for fun. He's so cute. Look at him. He's so evil, though. It's like Aqua Teen Hunger Force. It's like what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
Very, very funny. Like, just like this takes me back.
You remember like the stick figure, like kung fu
ninja
stuff?
Yeah. Well, that's probably not a good one to listen to.
No. I mean, yeah, the audio.
But it was very impressive. I mean, it was just like, like you said, it was like stick figure ninja.
Yeah, it was
kung
amazing.
Fu. It was kung fu. Yeah, it was great. It was really good. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. Those are the kinds of things I'm wanted to talk about. Charlie the Unicorn. I don't know if you guys remember that one. Charlie.
Mm-mm.
This is one of those ones that's just like really weird, but I remember it being like really popular.
He's like naming all kinds I've never heard of.
I told you guys. I just remember sitting in cubicles at work, like sharing these videos.
I mean, you said you didn't know Homestar Runner. I wouldn't know about Homestar Runner if it wasn't for like a friend at work. I mean, he told me about
Candy Mountain, right?
Charlie the Unicorn is basically like this real surly unicorn who's being bothered by these two chipper unicorns. And they're trying to convince him to get off his ass and go to Candy Mountain.
Land of sweets and joy and joyness.
Please stop bouncing on me.
Candy Mountain, Charlie. Yeah,
The dialogue kind of reminds me of like
Fine,
South
agree with
Park.
you, Candy
Yeah.
La 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 la.
He's just so put off by these two. Like,
Enough with the singing already.
Our first stop is over there, Charlie.
Oh, God, what is that?
It's a Leopleurodon, Charlie. A magical Leopleurodon. It's gonna guide our way to Candy Mountain.
All right, guys, you do know that there's no actual Candy Mountain, right?
Shun the non-believer. Shun.
Charlie's got that expression on his face constantly. So weird.
It has spoken. It has told us the way.
Didn't say
You guys
anything.
never saw this before.
It's just over this bridge, Charlie. This magical bridge of hope and
there's
wonder.
tons of them. There's like at
Is
least
anyone else
4
getting,
versions
like,
of
covered
this
in
Charlie the
splinters?
Unicorn.
Seriously, guys, we shouldn't be on this thing.
Charlie.
I'll skip ahead. Basically, they get
Who
him
is
to
that?
get to Unicorn Mountain
Yeah,
or Candy
goodbye,
Mountain.
Charlie.
They trick him to go into
What?
this cave.
Hey, what's going on here? Hello? Who is that? Oh, God.
They harvested his organs.
Oh,
like
God.
these
Oh, they
bastards.
took my freaking kidney.
And then it ends. So yeah, that's Charlie the Unicorn. Those are pretty good. I enjoy those. All right, so we're gonna move on to another really fun, popular thing when you talk about the internet, and that's viral videos. These are the videos like whether or not the people wanted to. They got fame for reasons they probably didn't want to have fame for.
Yeah.
And Star Wars Kid is the first one that came to my mind.
Oh, definitely.
Star Wars Kid is like, let this be a lesson to any of you who are actually thinking about putting yourself on a green screen and then uploading it to the internet with good faith that they'll do things you think they should be doing. But like that poor kid, and I looked ahead on him too because he was the subject of a lot of bullying because he's a husky boy.
Yeah.
He's a husky boy, and he was very enthusiastic about the new Star Wars movies. And you guys have seen it, right? I mean, we've probably all seen it. Just Google Star Wars Kid if you haven't seen it. He walks out of it because he's super confident. He walks out like I'm a Jedi Knight, more or less. So then he starts doing these ridiculous moves that like a child, like a young kid might do. And then he's knocking stuff over. He's getting real carried away. But of course, the real fun of it all came is like the situations that people would put him in. Yeah. He's like deflecting things that like aren't like. There were people who were more well-meaning who did like the like industrial light and magic, like hardcore like Lucas effects for him. Yeah. So he's embarrassing himself, but at least he's got like really like cool effects going on around him.
Yeah.
But there were people who were a lot meaner.
Yeah.
Numa. Do you guys know what that is?
Yeah.
The yada.
Yeah.
Another husky boy, doing the dance, and
That was good.
I don't know. If, I gotta play a clip of this. It's visual. You gotta do it. Like Google Numa.
Yeah.
So that's a great one. I remember that one making the rounds around.
And there was like was it a Nintendo 64 kid? Like they got like for Christmas.
Oh, yeah. For Christmas.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a commercial they did too. Like it was, it was kind of one of those things that was like playing on like nostalgia. It was like for an adult, like, like things you wouldn't get excited about anymore. It's like, remember how excited you were, when you got your whatever. And then like they would show that footage of the kid, the N64 kid, and he's just
like
so
unwrapping it like, ah.
I mean, I remember how exciting it was to get, something you asked for Christmas, but a console, So that was a very sought after console for a while. So yeah, he freaked the hell out. I mean, it's the best video.
It's
ever.
a cool video.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe PSAs. Those were
those
great.
are funny.
The Who Wants a Body Massage. I gotta pull that one up. It's just so strange. G.I. Joe had the real PSAs during the cartoons. They dubbed.
Oh man, check out that thing, man.
What do you want to do with it?
Let's launch over it.
Here comes Roadblock.
Who wants a body massage?
What did he just say to us?
Mr. Body Massage Machine. Go.
What the hell?
Body massage.
Body massage. Yeah. Pork chop sandwiches is a favorite. Barbecue running in, screaming pork chop sandwiches always makes me laugh.
You're not cooking. Yeah, dude.
So weird.
Pork chop sandwiches.
The house is on fire. He runs into the house yelling pork chop sandwiches.
Get the fuck out.
Tells the kid.
God, did that smell good?
Detective, did you know go in and you tell me do things? I'm running.
Stop all the downloading's a fun one too. Talking about Napster.
Oh, hell nah. What's up, dog?
Hey, kid. I'm a computer. Stop all the downloading.
So bizarre.
So weird.
It's like the lip readings nowadays
Yeah.
you see with football
I don't
players.
know much
and-
about computers other than the one we got in my house. My mom put a couple games on there, and I played.
They're always stuttering and like rambling. Anyways, that's the G.I. Joe PSA. That was a huge viral video thing that went around. Boom Goes the Dynamite. Have you guys seen that guy?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not sure.
Oh my lord. Boom Goes the Dynamite is one of my favorite. Okay, so they had this new okay, so like when they do the news, they read from a teleprompter usually. They write their own stuff, but then they got to read from a teleprompter, and it's a very, very difficult skill we take for granted. Well, this guy, he's clearly new, and he's trying to read the teleprompter, but it's going too fast that he can read. So I have to play it for you guys. Boom Goes the Dynamite's just like the pinnacle of it, but here's this poor guy.
Hello, everyone. Well, the Ball State softball team continued to play this weekend, and they were hoping to continue off of their straight 3 out of 4 losses. And
Makes
so we'll
no
take a
sense.
look and see how that happened. They started off good, but then eventually, the Ball State women's team shut down and ended up
He's
doing
struggling.
poorly.
He's struggling bad.
And okay, we're going to continue on now. The Ladies Cardinals will play an Iowa tournament.
You feel
starting
sorry
this
for him,
Friday.
honestly.
Yeah.
Before the Ball State baseball team kicks off its conference season this weekend,
Yeah, this is skip ahead a bit.
7 out of the 9 weeks. The Cards will play at Boise State Invite this weekend.
He's tripping over
The
his words.
Indiana Pacers are looking for a measure of
You can see him
revenge
like
tonight
doing his head like
against the
side
New
to side,
Jersey
like he's
Nets
trying to
and
read.
to strengthen their playoff hopes. The Nets won the last Sunday's matchup 94-85, which left the Pacers 1 game behind the Chicago in the 7th series spot.
Poor guy. He just can't read fast enough. Okay, so imagine like ESPN. They're like very boisterous. They have catchphrases when they're calling the highlights. This guy has his own catchphrase, and it's the best.
Reggie Miller's looking good. He shoots a 3.
That's not Reggie Miller shooting, by the way. Dead air.
Later, he gets the rebound, passes it to the man, shoots it, and boom goes the dynamite.
That delivery. Wow, did you feel that heat? Gets the rebound, passes to the man. He doesn't even know who he passed it to. He just says the man. He shoots, and boom goes the dynamite. He was so excited to unveil that. Boom goes the dynamite.
And boom goes the dynamite.
And boom goes the dynamite. So that was a major viral video.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
That's a pretty good one. There's the Mobile Leprechaun. Did you guys ever see that one? This is kind of mean-spirited. So it was a news broadcast, an actual news broadcast. This part I love setting these up. It's fun for me. So it's a local mobile, like the local news, not the big news. And I'll just play it, and you guys can see for yourself. They treat it like a real news story, and it feels like they're kind of making fun of the residents of this little town.
Crowds are coming by the dozens to get an up-close view at what some say is a piece of Irish folklore.
Some people
Look at the shit-eating grins on their faces.
A leprechaun is taking up residence in their neighborhood. A leprechaun. NBC 15's Brian Johnson has more.
Curiosity leads to large crowds in Mobile's Crichton community. Many of you bringing binoculars, camcorders, even camera phones to take pictures.
So seriously.
To me, it look like a leprechaun to me. All I gotta do is look up in the tree. Who else seen the leprechaun? Say yeah!
Eyewitnesses say the leprechaun only comes out at night. If you shine a light in its direction, it suddenly disappears. This amateur sketch.
What you guys can't see is this child's drawing, basically.
With their own theories and explanations for the image.
My theory is it's casting a shadow from
real eyewitnesses, guys.
Could be a crackhead that got hold to the wrong
She's in her car.
and was told to get up in a tree and play a leprechaun.
Down to the bottom of this.
Oh, this guy's got it figured out.
There, guy. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, man.
This guy helping to direct traffic says he's prepared for his encounter with the leprechaun. He's suited up from head to toe.
This wars off smells right here. This is a special leprechaun flute.
He's holding a flute made out of like PVC pipe or some shit. I don't know what it is.
I just came to help out.
Others just came to get lucky in hopes a pot of gold may be buried under this tree.
I'm gonna run a backhoe and uproot that tree. I want to know where the gold at. I want the gold. Give me the gold. I want the gold.
Why are they doing this?
This is Brian Johnson, NBC 15 News.
Oh, Lord.
Do anything for a pot of gold.
Look at him laughing.
I'm going to uproot that tree.
Uproot that tree. All right, so that of course like got everybody laughing. So the internet does what it does best. Let's see. Okay. So then, of course, all the songs and remixes came out after that. So they do that thing that the internet does. This actually wasn't the best one. Yeah, auto-tuning. Yeah, that wasn't the one that I thought. There's one that is, let's see. This is it right here. There's a better one. Here it is. Well, that look on his face. There's Mr. T breakdancing in the interlude right there. Amateur sketch. I love it when the internet does this stuff, when they pick up the ball and run with it. There's that guy. Yeah, that's enough of that. All right.
That reminds me. You guys remember the "It's Friday" song?
Tell us about that
Friday?
one.
You don't remember that?
Nope. See, that's what I'm talking about. People don't know. You assume everybody knows.
Friday.
I think I do.
Everybody. Rebecca Black. Yeah.
Is that it?
That one right there.
Okay. All right. So this is the internet like.
Yeah. So what this is.
Well, here, set it up. Set it up, Martin.
So I guess there's these companies where you can go, you can pay a certain amount of money, and they'll give you lyrics and they'll make a music video for you.
Oh, like in malls and stuff?
I don't know if it's in malls, but they're like companies maybe out west.
Okay.
So Rebecca Black, I guess she paid some money to have this custom music video.
Actually, that name is starting to ring a bell.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it was posted online first or where it was seen, but it's basically so bad.
So the internet was mean-spirited with it.
It got so popular because it was so bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is like one of those American Idol got famous situations, where they're terrible and they're famous.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, what was that guy's name?
I don't remember.
William Hung.
William Hung, yeah.
William Hung.
And Hung for Christmas and
Yeah,
all that. All right, so here's the song. Is this what the company did?
Yeah, this is all the.
It's like
all the company.
It's like stock, graphics.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look how many views it's got.
Is that 128 million?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
And this is legit. That's the bad, funny part about it.
Oh, wow. You know what? I maybe have seen parodies of this now that I think about it. As bad as you say it is, it just looks like regular pop music to me. It just looks like every other pop music video that I've seen. Is that Mandy Moore or Rebecca Black? I can't even tell the difference. Oh my gosh, that's pretty good. Let's see, what's the next one we got? Yeah, I remember hearing the story about her. Yeah. Easter Bunny Hates You. Have you seen that one?
Mm-mm.
This is where a guy dresses up in a cheap costume store Easter Bunny suit and then just runs around town kicking the shit out of people. Oh. That's great. Let's see. Easter Bunny Hates You. Okay. This is a pretty good one right here. I'll just play a quick clip of it. Okay. It's not going to probably do well for people who are listening though. Shoves that guy out of the way.
He's coming for
Easter
you.
Bunny Hates You. Quick. Yeah, so it's just the whole video. He's just kicking the hell out of people.
It's kind of like the chicken always fighting Peter Griffin.
Yeah, that's all it is. There, he's got nunchucks. He's beating that guy up, tossing him down the stairs. So yeah, the people at home, just Google Easter Bunny Hates You. It's pretty funny. But that one made the rounds. Afro Ninja, did you guys see that guy?
Yeah, didn't they make
I think so.
It's real quick.
Off that?
Maybe it's real quick. This is basically it's this serious martial artist who's trying to do like a demonstration. He tries to do a backflip, but he messes it up and lands on his face. So here's Afro.
I've got one after this.
Afro Ninja, and it's real short, but I love how he plays it off as the best part. As an E-bomb, E-bomb's world.
Oh, that was
but look, he gets up with the nunchucks. He's completely out of it. He's 100% concussed. He just still tries to continue. Anyways, that's a real quick. But that one made the rounds. All right, Mark, you said you had one.
Well,
sorry, I'm a little late.
Is like.
Oh, this is Tron Guy. We're gonna get to
yeah,
that.
Tron Guy's cool. You can do Tron Guy real quick.
Well, no, Tron Guy's in a different category. So
okay.
Don't worry, we'll get to that.
I don't know if this is in the same category. It's almost more like the animated GIF.
Okay.
The dancing baby. You guys remember the 3D dancing baby?
Oh, the Ooga Chaka?
Ooga Chaka?
Yeah, no, yeah. Well,
what was that show? Like
Ally McBeal, yeah.
Yeah.
This might be the most famous meme of the internet. Let's see, dancing baby. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, you've never been online. I don't know what to tell you. This was just everywhere. It's creepy as all can be. This goes back to apparently 96, 97, so it really is one of the first memes. And then this animation is just from Ally McBeal, and I don't know how people got a hold of this, but this is clearly black screen, so it can go over top of the video. Ally McBeal sees I think she's thinking about. I don't know if she thinks she's pregnant or if she's late, but she's having these visions of a baby dancing. Ally McBeal is a strange show. I never actually watched it, but I caught the drift of it from the few minutes here and there that I watched it. So, yeah, Dancing Baby was definitely one I had on my list right here. Actually, it was the next one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, All Your Base Are Belong to Us.
Yeah.
I like All Your Base Are Belong to Us because it makes fun of the bad localization of video games, and especially and it, the story of that one, it goes back to it's like an '89 Japanese game called Zero Wing.
Wasn't it on Genesis?
I think so. Yeah. And that's kind of a long one, but that's neat, and it really goes to the spirit of the early internet, because it was just image after image after image of All Your Base Are Belong to Us, like photoshopped. Mm-hmm. They weren't really there wasn't really a restaurant with All Your Base Are Belong to Us with the letters in the sign. Somebody just photoshopped it.
Right.
So it was just like 3.5 minutes of this techno beat, with the All Your Base Are Belong to Us, and it's just image after image after image, and that's like what the internet was for a while. Mm-hmm. Leroy Jenkins.
Leroy Jenkins.
We don't have to show that. It's just funny, the World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was doing like a campaign run.
Yeah, who knows that story the best? I don't know. I think I've watched it once.
Yeah, like they were going to do like this raid or whatever, but they had to do it as a team.
Right.
So they're all like kind of huddled around. And
they're all doing like checks on the mic. Hey, you got this.
Yeah, and they're
warrior,
planning.
They're
like,
we're going to do
totally
this, and then that's
out.
when you are going to do this.
But and if you look though, the one guy has by his name it says like AFK, like away from keyboard.
Oh,
and so
so he doesn't know that.
He's not even hearing any of this, and so then I guess like he comes back. And he just charges in because they're all like coordinating and here's what we're gonna do and this and that. And
I've done raids.
Yeah, and he just comes in and goes like, "Let's do this, Leroy Jenkins."
And all of the chickens are like, "Okay, he's going. Everybody go."
Everybody just goes, "Oh shit." He just went in there. We gotta go. Do it now. Yeah, because like they lose their opportunity or something,
Yeah.
And so they're
once you start the boss, you have to go.
Yeah,
or you'll die.
So they just had to go, and like everybody just gets slaughtered.
The despair in their voices. They're trying so hard to continue the plan.
Because I think there's like dragons and stuff.
Yeah.
There's like eggs hatching like all around or something, and there's dragons like everywhere killing everybody.
Here, I gotta like try and find the last couple
everybody's
seconds of
like,
that carnage.
Damn it, Leroy. And he's like, at the end of it, he's like, at least I got chicken.
People deserve to hear this if they've never, and they're too lazy to YouTube it. All right, so here's like you're saying, they're all around.
Oh my God, he just ran in. Save him. Oh, geez, stick to the plane.
Stick to the plan.
Here we go.
Yeah, give me a sec. I'm coming up with 32 point.
There's like 20 guys here.
Repeating, of course, percentage of survival.
Oh, it's a lot better than we usually do.
All right, chums up.
Ready, guys?
Let's do this. Leroy!
He's like sitting on the ground.
Oh my God, he just ran in.
Oh my God, he just ran in.
Save him.
Oh, geez, stick to the plane.
Oh, geez.
Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan.
Stick to the plane.
Oh, what a plan goes horribly wrong.
I can't move. Am I lagging, guys? I can't move.
Here, let's get to the end of it.
We do have a soul stone up, don't we?
Everybody's dying.
Well, you were just stupid as hell.
And now they all turn on Leroy.
At least I have chicken.
At least I have chicken.
Oh my God, Leroy Jenkins is great. And if you've ever rated at anything, you'll appreciate it so much more. Okay, so that's my last early viral video to talk about. Now, I guess the next thing we're going to talk about are just memes. And memes, it's difficult to define, but for me, it's just usually an image.
Yeah.
It's just like a picture.
With some kind of saying.
Yeah, with some kind of saying on it. And so one of the ones that I thought of were Evil Bert. That was a popular meme. You guys saw that. It's just like Bert from, the Bert and Ernie, the evil thing. And then
I always think of that little kid that's like holding. Like, he's like gripping the sand or whatever in his hand
with the multicolored background or whatever.
Yeah, he's got like the big cheeks.
Yeah, he's cute. The kid's cute, and he's just so determined. But I remember that Evil Bert after 9/11. There was the one famous one. He got even more famous when he was seen with Bin Laden. Like that's when that picture really started going around. D's nuts, which is personal to me. That's the big bald squirrel.
Yeah.
So, and for the YouTube people, if you audio people are like, you might want to tune into the video because I'll show pictures of these. Yeah, so it's just like the Squirrel with the gigantic nuts. And as the internet does, they kind of one-up each other. I remember like the balls would jingle, like there'd be like music.
Jingle jangle.
There was like AC/DC big balls, and the balls are jingling to the tune. That was great. Tron Guy.
Oh, yeah.
Tron Guy. Nick, are you familiar with Tron Guy?
No.
Let me pull up a picture.
No.
Oh my gosh.
This is
You're gonna have to Google that at home.
Yeah, Google it at home. It's okay, so this is like dangers of cosplay. I don't even know what to say. This guy was wearing a skin
That's just
tight.
what he's wearing like around the house, I think.
No, he made the costume, I think. Like, okay, here he is. Jay.
Oh, I've seen that picture of him.
Show the video. Show a video real quick.
Well, did we need to see the video or just the pictures? All
I
ever saw. So
I came up with a concept for this Tron Guy costume by going to a science fiction convention that also was.
I've seen a picture of him, but I haven't seen a video.
I don't think I've seen this video, to be honest.
Saw a masquerade. I'd never seen a
It
costume
looks almost like he's wrapped in gauze.
Yeah.
And he took a blue magic marker and just made the detail of the Tron.
Would be the ideal subject for a costume for that.
Okay, this is his
Tron
face
Guy
and
to
chest. It's the lower portion of his body that makes me laugh so hard.
I would not.
His costume is it's so skin tight.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's like he's hiding some acorns down there. Like, there it is.
Oh, man.
Oh, dude, couldn't you have like worn a jock strap or something, dude?
As soon as I saw his face, I thought, okay, I've seen a picture of him.
And he just looks like the sweetest guy, but yeah, those are the people that get teased. I mean, he does. Looks like he's wrapped or like masking tape. Like he's just wrapped in masking tape. And this almost looks like it's glowing, but it's a homemade cosplay. And he just, he didn't do early days of cosplay. He's no malicious, right? Okay. So the really the owl, like oh really, like you've seen that one? Okay. It's like ORLY ? And the first time it was used was like an owl. So that I love that one.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. That's the classic.
Best.
That's the Return of the Jedi. It's a trap. And so like I remember seeing that. Like that made it to like Futurama and stuff. Like that's one of those mainstream.
Yeah.
One does not simply walk into Mordor. You've seen those.
Yeah, one does not simply whatever.
Yeah, it's always like one does not simply put in your own thing into Mordor. Like one does not simply ride a skateboard with two wheels into like that kind of thing. That was a big one. Dramatic Prairie Dog. Have you guys seen that one?
No.
Dramatic Prairie Dog is really cute. So it's quick and it's actually. I say it's a meme, but it's not just a picture. Let's see. But it's just like 3 seconds long. Look at him, he's so cute. There's a really funny story behind the origins of the dramatic prairie dog. But like, look how adorable he is. So I love that one. And it's been memed, you'll see it like in a picture. The hamster dance. I didn't really know what to do with that because the hamster dance is actually like it was a popular song. It was like a whole web page with just tons of like little animated hamsters. Real, like 2 frames of animation. Like there really wasn't much to them, but there's so many of the hamsters. And that was a phenomenon. Like,
and it would just loop and loop and loop.
You already played the hamster dance, Martin, a little bit earlier.
And then there was also the, like I mentioned earlier, the satanic version of
yeah, there were lots of, parodies of the hamster dance. Irma Gerd, you ever see that?
Yeah.
The Goosebumps Girl, that was a funny one.
Yeah.
Peanut Butter Jelly Time was huge. I mean, that was in friggin' Family Guy, for God's sakes. Let's see. For those who aren't,
it's peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter
the uninitiated,
jelly time.
and it's just this cute little banana gif.
It's peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Where you at?
There he goes. He's just doing this like little humpy dance. I don't know how else you describe it. And now it's just like very crudely like being moved around the screen.
Wow.
Peanut butter jelly with the baseball bat. Peanut butter jelly. So yeah, that was. I mean, everybody knows peanut butter jelly time. Badger. Did you guys ever see that one? Badger. Mushroom. You guys ever see that one? I don't even. Just like all of these, it's repetitive and just weird, and then it just becomes famous. I don't know why. But Mushroom. Just kind of goes on like this. And the badger's cute. He's like doing calisthenics or something. I don't know what he's doing.
You got kids, or your kids do the baby shark one? Have you heard of that?
No, is that another thing we should be looking at?
Yeah, it's pretty current.
On a snake. Baby shark. Well, that says R&B remix. That
Yeah, that's not it.
That's not it. Yeah.
Do that first one.
First one, right here.
Yeah.
Telemundo.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, kids love it.
Just silly, repetitive, cute.
I don't know what's going on in the background. There's like a news thing going on in the background or
Have
something.
you guys seen the pumpkin dancer?
Pumpkin dancer? No.
Yeah.
Should we be saving this for newer like sensations? Like
Yeah, because that's like current right there.
Because I was very tempted to do the Harlem Shake one because that's actually
that
a
was
really funny like one, like the ridiculous things that you see in those. But I skipped it because it's kind of too new. Okay, all right. So those are our memes. Did you guys think of any other memes that?
There's the
you mentioned the good one, like the kid with he's like flexing his arm.
Yeah,
and he's like 2. He's just adorable.
the face palm, Captain Picard.
Oh
Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
Face palm.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Well, there's that troll thing too. The like the troll face guy. It's like a smushed up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's all the different faces. They all each have a name. I can't think of them right now,
But it's strange. But it's just like something you associate with trolls.
yeah.
But I mean, those are like most of the main ones that I could think of. So let's move on to the next to last segment. We're coming in hot, landing this bad boy. I want to talk about pages. It's really the only way I could think of to describe it. Just pages that are no longer relevant, really.
Websites.
With the exception of maybe one or so. But yeah, these are just web pages that once were a major thing. I started with the Blair Witch. Now, the Blair Witch, if you're not familiar with it, I'm sure you guys are. That was the movie that was was filmed documentary style, and when it was screened, it caused a lot of controversy because people weren't sure if it was real or not. And part of that was their campaign leading up to the release of the movie. They created a website about the Blair Witch, and a very convincing website and details about the lore of the Blair Witch. And it looked just like all those freaky old websites that would talk about, whatever, the thing that scared you. Like there was a webpage devoted to everything. Bigfoot, I don't whatever. I mean, I know Bigfoot's not real, but just something scary. And it was very convincing. And, and it was up in Maine or Massachusetts or something deep in the woods. But the Blair Witch page, I read that thing all over before I even knew there was a movie. And then when I saw the movie, I was really like, oh my God, where did this Blair Witch thing? Because they present it like everybody knows about it. It's like the Jersey Devil. It's been around forever. So that was a good one. I really enjoyed that early internet. eBay. eBay was so cool back in the day.
Yeah.
I remember Unic really utilized eBay a bunch.
Yeah, a little too much.
That's where the majority of your arcade stuff came from, right?
Yeah, I
Marquees.
discovered I could get marquees on eBay and whatnot.
That's the beauty of eBay, and it's still kind of fun to this day. It's I want to look at 10 good pictures of Soundwave, the original Soundwave. So you just go on eBay and look up Soundwaves, and if you really wanted to spin the coin, you could have yourself a Soundwave. Yeah. It's like flea marketing, I enjoyed flea markets growing up. They're fun. They come to your city a couple times a year, and you would just hope to catch something. And this is pre-eBay, so sometimes you could catch a good deal.
Yeah.
eBay came along and ruined flea markets, I assume, for everybody. But
the thing I like about eBay is you don't have to deal with the person, right? You don't have to go to a flea market.
Yeah. Well,
you don't have to deal with anybody.
What's the other one that you used now that I don't use? You talk about with arcades. The other
like an online store?
Yeah. Well, it's not really a store. It's you go there, you put up what you have, and then you can. And every town has their own page. What am I thinking of?
you talking about the Facebook market? Oh, Craigslist.
Craigslist.
Yeah. I was like, what are you talking about?
Like the name escaped me, but I knew
Yeah.
I knew he was trying to think of Craigslist,
Yeah.
and I was like, "What the hell is
Yeah,
that?"
yeah, and it's like it's so much like simpler looking, and
Oh yeah.
it just
It's like from way back when.
it's from way back when, but they never bothered to update it and modernize it.
But it works well.
That's where you got
It's like
that Mortal
Google,
Kombat
right?
cabinet in
Yeah.
it. It's off Craigslist.
I don't use Craigslist because I know I got to deal with people. Like the beauty of eBay, like you
True.
say, is you sign up for like now it's great. Like you sign up for like PayPal, you buy something. If they rip you off, PayPal protects you. You get your money back. No
Yeah.
harm is done. But in the wild west days of eBay, I'm sure there were lots and lots of people that got screwed over and ripped off.
Pre PayPal.
Pre PayPal,
definitely.
yeah. So they.
I remember when PayPal came out, and I had signed up for a PayPal credit card and all that stuff.
Oh really?
Yeah.
With like 35% interest, like whatever.
I don't know. It
I'm
was
sure
quite
they
a bit,
raked you over the
yeah.
coals.
You're always putting like A++ seller, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
feedback.
I don't think any of that's changed.
No.
Like when I buy something from eBay or I sell something, I still see the same stuff.
Yeah.
Like pleasure to deal with.
Right.
A++. Like why are we still using the same rating?
Why can't they figure
descriptions?
something out better than that?
I don't know, man. But eBay was fun just because
Yeah.
it was the first of its kind, really. LOL cats. That was kind of a
Oh yeah.
just
Yep,
cute
yep.
animals, just pictures of animals and like,
Grumpy
funny
Cat.
captions. Grumpy cat. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Grumpy Cat.
That's like more meme-ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dig. Did you guys ever use Dig?
A little bit, yeah.
Dig was fantastic. It
ranked different topics, right?
It did. So like a story would get posted to Dig by somebody, and it's kind of like Reddit in a way where you could upvote it.
Mm-hmm.
You see it, and you're like, oh, I like this. I'll give it an up. And the more like ups you get, like the more digs that it gets pushed to the top of the news feed, and it would get aggregated by topic. And I used it every day. Like Dig was like my main source of just finding stuff.
Well,
Reddit's kind of that now, but Dig was that for a long time.
Well, also Slashdot. That was huge. If you got Slashdotted, your website went down. You remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember stuff
it
like
was
that.
huge,
Yeah. Stumble Upon. You guys remember that?
A little bit.
Stumble Upon was cool because it's kind of like what I was talking about early in the early stages of like not Googling, but just search engines. Like I don't know. I just want to find something cool, but like I don't know. So with Stumble Upon, you just click a button and it would just take you to some cool site. And if you liked it, you could say you liked it and then hit Stumble Upon. It would try to take you to a site similar to it. So it was a cool site to discover new sites you've never been to, based on your tastes and likes. So Stumble Upon was kind of a neat thing. Icon Has Cheeseburger. That's another one of the like cute cats and like animals and stuff. That's just a cute name for a site too. Like Icon Has Cheeseburger. Something Awful, where I talked about Photoshop Fridays. Something Awful to me is kind of like pre-Reddit. Like it was kind of toxic, but buried within all the toxicity were some really, really funny people doing some interesting things. And not only that, if you just could wade through the BS and the toxicity, you could actually get up to the minute news, like late, like there were rumors, and you could kind of sniff out the ones that aren't really worthy of paying attention to. But people would post to these sites that had, a good reputation, like leakers and stuff. So Something Awful, like it was bad, but within it, there were a lot of like jewels in the diamonds in the rough, I guess you'd say.
Diamond in the rough.
Blogs I put down here because like it seemed like everybody had a blog.
Yeah.
I remember a couple times
Blogger.
trying to start a blog, and to me, like podcasts, like I define a podcast as like a blogger who's too lazy to write. Because it's kind of the same thing. It's like, here's stuff that I like, and if you're good with writing and you have a nice flowery language and you're not lazy, you can have an interesting blog, update it every day. Like I knew people who had interesting blogs personally, and I would go to their blog and read about it, and it was interesting. I would try to do a blog, and it's like it would start out strong, like first couple posts, like yay, this is fun, and then I would just be like,
You
I gotta
never touch it again.
Well, yeah, because you had to do it daily or multiple times a day.
Yeah,
it's kind of how I feel about Twitter. Like you got people who are real Twitter famous because they tweet like just funny things all day long. I get like one funny idea like a month, and I put it out there and like one person sees it. So anyways, the blogs.
You remember like the old days of Tech TV?
Oh yeah.
Before it was bought out by G4.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I miss G4.
Yeah.
Tech TV, G4 got spun into G4.
Yeah, they ruined that.
Yeah,
It sure did.
It started going downhill when it's G4.
Yeah, but it was still it was fun to see. What was that show? With the game show that had Morgan Webb and
you just wanted to see Morgan.
Morgan
X-Play.
Webb. Oh, she was so cute.
Yeah.
But what was the guy's name? He was pretty good too.
Adam
Sessler.
Sessler.
Yeah, that was a cool show. Like G4 got worse and worse, but
And
that
there's
show
like,
was consistently good. I thought.
Leo Laporte and
I like Leo Laporte.
Kevin Rose.
Yes.
Cat.
I think Kevin Rose is one of the people that created Dig.
Yeah.
I think he's one of those guys. So that
The Dark Tipper.
Dig 2 is like they would actually have a web series where at the end of the week, Kevin Rose and another guy would sit on a couch with like their computers. And I remember one guy always had a Mac and I got a PC. I think Kevin Rose had the PC. I forget the other guy. And what they would do is they would just take the most popular digs of the week and then they would talk about it like a show, like a news show.
Mm-hmm.
So it was fun. So that brings us to earliest internet gaming, and this is the final topic. And I don't PC game much, and I'm talking like computer stuff here, so I can't really count
That's because
Xbox
you're on
Live
a
and
Mac.
stuff.
So.
Yeah, right. I'm a Mac guy. So I thought what we would each do is talk about if you can remember your first like online gaming experience. What game it was, and like, do you remember much about that experience, Nick?
I think maybe, like, I don't know. We already kind of mentioned Star Wars Galaxy a little bit. That's kind of the first that I kind of remember, like, actively playing. I mean, because it was like online only. I mean, that was the point of it.
It was one of the,
But
was that one of, well, it wasn't one of the first.
I mean, because there were
a lot of money behind it.
There were games that I had that you could play online, but really I didn't ever do it. But that was the one first that I kind of remember, like, actively.
You took a leap.
Yeah, to play, get this game and play this game online.
Yeah.
And Halo on PC was another because I mean, we'd already played Halo online
for years
on the Xbox using that whatever it was called, I forget.
The tunneling software.
It was tunneling software.
Yeah, because Xbox Live wasn't around yet.
Oh, I can't think of it now.
Yeah,
like green
Xbox
font,
Live
like,
didn't come around until Halo 2.
Yep.
And we played Halo 1.
Way more than Halo 2.
Yeah, online tons.
Yeah, we talked about how they messed up the pistols. So
yeah.
One, like, I don't know.
But I don't know. That's like, that's, I might be wrong, but that's kind of how I remember it. That's what stands out the most.
Yeah.
Cool. Martin, you remember like your first online gaming experiences?
Yeah, the one that stands out the most, I'd have to say, would probably be Quake. And it just
arena PvP type.
No, the original Quake.
Oh, the like.
Yeah, the old school, like this one right here.
Okay.
Yeah, because like a lot of them, like that I remember, it was more of like.
Had Trent Reznor made the soundtrack for. And...
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Yeah.
You know, it was more like a LAN thing. Like LAN parties was big. You know, that I kind of remember like getting together and hooking up PCs and doing like a LAN party kind of a thing, but not necessarily
Quake was the first Xbox
online.
Live game I think we tried online because it came out before Halo 2. So I remember playing Quake.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I played a lot of StarCraft. A lot of StarCraft online.
What's like the analog to StarCraft nowadays? Because I never played it and I don't really know. I know it's.
Well, I mean,
I know it's popular, obviously.
It's it's around strategy, resource building.
Is that Blizzard? Is that the people?
Yeah, it's Blizzard.
Okay, all right. So now just saying Blizzard, I can kind of get wrap my brain around the type of game it is.
Right. So you have to send people out to go mine gold, cut down forests,
a lot of farming,
that kind of stuff, similar to Warcraft.
Gotcha.
Build a giant army and go kick everyone's ass.
Cool.
Basically,
it's fun.
Yep.
Let's see. What?
Zerg Rush.
What's that?
Zerg Rushes. Okay, so there's...
Well, tell me more, Martin. I have no idea what that is. I'm sure people out there are, but I mean...
So there was the humans, and then there was the aliens, Zergs. So...
Like from Toy Story?
No.
I mean, I know it's not the same thing, but...
They were kind of like from Starship Troopers. You remember that movie? You don't remember Starship Troopers?
I just remember the bugs.
Oh, yeah.
They look like the bugs from Starship Troopers.
Yeah, the guy who made the RoboCop movies.
Yeah. So basically, you could grow them really quickly. So if you were on the Zerg team, you would make a ton of Zerg, but they were weak. So you just make like 30, 40 of them, and you would rush the other team.
So they were like your dispensable.
Yes,
like,
it was super cheap.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you
Zerg
mentioned
Rush.
Starship Troopers, I just had that image of those like kids squashing bugs in the street.
You can do your part.
Do your part. And the mom's like, she's so proud of her little kids like smushing bugs.
You mean the one thing that didn't come to mind was the co-ed lockers?
We talk about that.
Okay.
Of course that came to mind. It had Denise Richards in it. She's so hot. Okay, but that's not the girl we're talking about. For me, and I already said that I was always the person who had like the low-end PC, so like I didn't do a lot of gaming. But the game I do remember playing a lot...
Minesweeper.
No. Tetris. No, the game I remember playing a lot of and loving it was Castle Wolfenstein, Return to Castle Wolfenstein.
Oh, yeah.
And I loved it because it was the first time I ever got a feel of playing it as a team. And, Gears of War, like, multiplayer was real fun doing that types of stuff later on consoles. But Return to Wolfenstein, and there were lots of other games just like it. And I'm sure I know it's not the first, but it's
Unreal
just the first one
Tournament.
I played. You had like Medic, and you had just a guy who was...
I didn't really ever play it online.
It was so fun.
I played, just the single player mode.
They would have, maps, and the map that I always loved playing was the Normandy, Beach at Normandy. Storming the
Oh,
Normandy.
yeah,
So
that was a good one.
Well, it was so fun because, you were either the Nazis or the Allies, and you didn't know. You would just kind of get thrown into one side.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, oh, okay, I'm a Nazi. I gotta fortify the castle, and so it was a lot of fun. It was really good, and the game itself, single player, was fun too. I remember
yeah, it was really good.
It was a good game. Like I remember those early PC games. Like I played Max Payne, things like that.
Oh yeah.
And
like Battlefield 1942.
Oh yeah,
that was kind of fun.
Sure, yeah.
Did you guys ever play Counter-Strike? That
A
was
little
huge.
bit, yeah. That was huge
Huge.
at school in
Yeah.
college. Like people wanted to play it all the time.
That's almost like what Fortnite is now, but even
That's
Fortnite's
fair.
even bigger, right?
It is it?
Oh, I think
well,
so.
it generates more money. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But it's at least as popular.
I don't,
But
think, I don't think Counter-Strike made any money.
people are still playing Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's a lot to be said about that. People still get on servers and play that game. I know that for a fact. But one of my off the beaten path choices was this thing. It was a peripheral that you could buy for the Super Nintendo and maybe the Genesis too, but I just had it for Super Nintendo, and it was a company called X-Band.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick, you remember it too, I think, but. You plugged it into your Super Nintendo, and then the game. Like I played the game, I remember playing.
It would make like a tower.
It would make like a tower. It was like that lock-on technology for Sonic and Knuckles kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And it was dial-up. You'd plug in the dial-up cable straight into it.
Yeah, like the phone cord would like hang out the side of it.
Yeah, it would hang out the side of the peripheral. So it's this big, tall peripheral, and the phone cord plugged into it. And it sucked, but it was my first probably taste of trying to find a game with somebody. Like, you created a little profile, and they had like 10 little profile images you could choose from, and I did that. And I would send emails to people trying to get them to, meet me for a time in the game. Like, they didn't have like these robust lobbies like you do nowadays, where you just open the game, go to the lobby, hundreds of thousands of people waiting to play.
Yeah.
Here they would have some kind of thing, but you couldn't ever get anybody to get online and play it. And I think like you mentioned that we tried one time, but we just sat there forever.
Yeah, I kind of remember trying to play like Weapon Lord on it or something. Like we rented it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'd like never be able to find a game. Just like wait and wait and wait.
I played probably 5 games of Mortal Kombat total. And when I did get somebody to play, like it was dial-up, so it disconnected. It wasn't very reliable at all.
Yeah.
And then you'd reconnect, send a message to like an email. Like it was awkward and clunky. It wasn't a real user-friendly, like intuitive interface. You'd have to, like you're on a controller. You're not like a mouse and keyboard. So like
right.
you send a message, you got to do the thing where you go to each letter and type it out. And it was just real frustrating. So I think I ended up taking it back to the store. I got it from Electronic Boutique or Software Etc., one of those two.
Yeah.
But I mention it only because it was that excitement just the thought of being able to play some stranger,
Yeah.
it was exciting.
Early internet.
The early internet, and it was the promise of an arcade, but across, the globe. So it was ahead of its time, and it just wasn't ready. And like Nick said, like around 2001 or so, Xbox Live connected. So like we're talking, just 7 years later, it was fully realized. So, and you needed a broadband connection, kind of needed that. So that brings me to the end of our show. I don't have anything else. I think we covered a lot of topics. I had a good time. I had some good laughs. And I don't know if it would be worth our while to come back for another episode of more current trends. It's more fun to reminisce about the old stuff because you've forgotten all of it.
Yeah.
Or in some of our cases, we never even heard of it.
Right.
So, anything else you guys want to add about the early internet, the days, like just final thoughts?
Don't know what else to say.
It was just exciting.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely basic and rudimentary, but in some ways I kind of miss it because there's not all the spam and all the
it's like everything we talk about. Like there's just better everything available now, but you do kind of.
I've said many times I don't really like what the internet has evolved into, in a sense. I mean, there's things about it obviously that I like, but there's also
you couldn't have a Netflix without the internet. You couldn't have. You couldn't have sites like imdb.com, which is like my savior. Like I go to that site like 1 million times a day. Google, I mean, the internet has just changed our lives forever.
It just seems like people's attitudes have like totally changed now that they have like,
and like anonymous.
Yeah,
like
that voice that you can have without any like fear of like, anybody like being right in front of somebody to say the same things,
I'm a fairly like liberal person mostly, and I don't like to see people being treated wrongly. But one thing that I hate about the internet nowadays is like this like outrage culture.
Yeah.
People jumping on the bandwagon of, shaming people so fast without ever hearing the other part of the story. I don't like that. I don't like how eager and willing, like how fast people are to jump on that high ground, and like nobody's perfect, and you don't even know the circumstances of these people, and there's people that deserve to be shamed maybe, but it's none of your business. But people make it their business, and I think that's part that I don't like.
Yeah.
But there's so many good things about the internet. Like I love the internet. I mean, I use it every day. Like every 5 minutes, I'm looking at my phone, and for good, for better or for worse, it's there. And my kids will never know a day without the internet. It's just integrated into everything you do. Your phone, your TV, your Blu-ray player, it's there.
Yeah, it's just it's common now where there was that wide-eyed mystery before.
Yep. That possibility where anything's possible, like if you can think it, and it was just possible. And Martin, you said that the free internet. I mean, it's no joke. Like net neutrality is going to change it. It's going to change, and we may not even realize it, but things will change. And if you guys don't know about net neutrality, do your research on it. It's really important, and whenever it comes up in politics, you definitely want to support it because it benefits us, especially if you're a content creator. Anyone can go out on YouTube and find us, but if large multimedia companies had their way, we'd give them money, and then they would allow us through the gate. Like that's not how the internet should work.
Pay-per-view.
Oh my God, pay-per-view internet, yeah. So anyway, I don't want to get on a soapbox and get all political. That's not what this show's about. I had a great time. Martin, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, this was super fun.
BitGeek Podcast is video and audio. You can find us on youtube.com/BitGeek if you're cool and you want to see us. or if you're also cool and you just want to listen to us. Because I have a radio face. Spotify, Apple, you can find us. And if you do find us and you listen to us and you like us, do us a favor and rate us. But, it would be great if people could take the time out. If you enjoy the show, like I know people watch us and listen to us, just take a few minutes and give us a rating. We'd really appreciate it. Help us find a new audience, like, people out there that are like-minded individuals like us. You can also find us sometimes on Facebook. I don't even know if we really... Did you end up posting that picture?
I told you I'd forget since you didn't post it for like
it's
a
been
month.
a little while since our last episode. Yeah. Well, we try, and since we do have a YouTube presence, and we'll talk about things, and I'll show it visually. And if you're an audio only, you can. The idea was you go to Facebook, and we'll try to post things on Facebook.
Yeah, and I had like a picture like ready to go, and I kept saying, "When are you going to post this
you'd
thing?"
Send me a message like, "When are you going to post that episode?"
Nice.
I'm busy, man. I got live. I'm not just doing Photoshop Fridays all the time.
That's not what you told me. You said I'm holding on to it.
Well, yeah, maybe I did. Well, it's the holidays too. So yeah, you can find us at Facebook /The BitGeeks is where we are there. You can find us on Twitter, just BitGeek Podcast, right there. I try to get on there and mix it up with you guys. I made a lot of friends on Twitter, and man, there's a lot of really cool, people just like us on Twitter out there. Following all them, and they follow me back, and I appreciate that. Or follow us back. I think that's it. Thanks for checking us out. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
And the seal goes ow, ow, ow. But there's one side